time they lost a season opener was that game in 1985 here against Florida State. Nebraska won the toss and deferred. Well, that's the first decision Mike Riley has had to make in a game as head coach of the Cornhuskers. 29 straight wins, so no pressure on Mike Riley today. It's opener. If you lose, you end that streak as well.
You know, the great thing about him, that he embraces the standards that Nebraska fans have for him.
It is breezy, as we mentioned. The wind at the back of Drew Brown, the place kicker, as he tries to kick off. Wind gusting over 20 miles per hour. It is straight at the back of Brown. Undoubtedly one of the reasons why Mike Riley decided to defer and kick off. They waited a long time to play a football game that means something. Bose Joseph comes in to hold the ball on the tee now. Brown trying to fire up the crowd, and the season is underway. Adam Hine and Eric Takanaka back deep, and no chance to return that kickoff through the back of the end zone with the wind. So here comes 25-year-old senior quarterback from Pocatello, Idaho, Taysom Hill. Very solidly put together 232-pounder, 4,338 passing yards, and #1 all-time rushing among BYU quarterbacks. Season-ending leg injuries in 2012 and again in Game 5 last year against Utah State. They were 4-0, ranked number 18 in the country. There was talk they might even run the table, and he would be a Heisman candidate. But then he injured his leg. They finished 8-5. Out of the gun to start the season. And throws for a completion and a first down to Mitchell Juergens, a gain of 14.
Hey, this is a great play right here by Taysom Hill, having confidence in his leg and making a confident decision in his arm to throw across his body. That shows you that he's ready.
It was the left leg that he injured both times. He avoided Jack Gangwish, one of the defensive end, hands it off inside. And Algie Brown, the ball came out, but the officials ruled Brown down by contact across the 41-yard line. Dedrick Young, a true freshman linebacker, made the tackle. BYU wants to go at a very quick pace. And Chris, on this very hot day, conditioning will be a big factor.
Absolutely, especially on the defensive line and the interior for the Cornhuskers.
93, but warmer than that on the field with high humidity. On the field turf, Hill throws, drop. Taron Houck, part of a very tall receiving corps. He's 6'5". They have two receivers taller than him.
It's a nice job right here of number 67, Kyle Johnson, allowing Taysom Hill the pocket to throw the football, and you see the confidence in his left leg to step through that throw and throw a strike.
3rd down and 7. They fake the inside handoff, and on target is Hill for another first down to midfield. Houck caught that one and then was tackled by Aaron Williams, a freshman safety.
Right there, Sean, the size of Taron Houck at 6'5" was able to box out Williams, who had a decent break of the ball but couldn't get past that big body to knock it away.
9-yard gain on 3rd down and 7. They marked it at the Nebraska 49. Brown again cutting across. That time they handled it to him, and he got dumped by Joshua Kalu, the cornerback.
And two early positive signs for BYU. First of all, Taysom Hill, as Chris mentioned, showing a lot of confidence in that leg as he's rolling to the left, throwing right. And then secondly, the receivers, big receivers, not separating but making a tough catch in traffic. They're going to have to do that all day long. These Nebraska corners are going to stick to them.
Loss of 2 on the last play. 4-man rush. Well blocked, but now Hill's running out of time, and he's sacked. Back of the 46. The freshman, Freedom Akamoladun.
It starts with the inside pressure right here. They collapse the pocket, and Taysom Hill likes to normally scramble to his left, and Akamoladun does a good job of not losing sight of the quarterback, retracing his steps and finishing the play.
Redshirt freshman playing in his first game for Nebraska. 3rd down and 15 for BYU. The Cougars at their own 46. Adam Heenan is the running back. Open receiver, diving catch made by Kurt Henderson. They rule it a catch, but he's way short of the first down by about 8 yards. Josh Kalu had the coverage, and BYU sends the punting team on with a brand new punter. This ought to be interesting. Johnny Linehan, a star on their national champion rugby team, kicking in a football game for the first time. Just joined the football program 1 month ago. He's from New Zealand. He is a rugby-style punter, as you might think, so expect some sort of rollout. Jordan Westerkamp back deep. Job one catching it on this breezy day. And he was able to field it near the 12-yard line. So here comes Tommy Armstrong, the junior from Cibolo, Texas, between Austin and San Antonio. 3,400 yards of total offense last year, including a huge performance in their bowl game loss against USC. They lost a shootout to the Trojans at the Holiday Bowl. They had an interim coach there, Barney Cotton. Tim Beck calling the plays as the offensive coordinator. They opened up the playbook with a staff that had already been fired.
And that was the right thing to do for Tommy Armstrong, to give him the confidence and let it loose, and you saw the numbers that he was able to put up.
Like Hill, a dual threat running and throwing. Terrell Newby, the ball carrier. Eric Takanaka made the tackle for BYU, a gain of about 3. And the big question, Chris, for the defense for BYU today is, what will Nebraska be on offense? Will they be a pro-style team, the offense that Mike Riley liked to run at Oregon State, or will they adopt more of the quarterback run game that Nebraska has used?
I think it's going to be a little bit of both right there. You saw a pro-style little jet sweep formation. Now here's the old formation that Nebraska's used to running out of the gun.
BYU likes to blitz a lot out of the 3-4. The men coming were late getting there. Lane Hubby makes the catch. Micah Hanneman brought him down after a gain of 11 in the first down of the season for Nebraska.
It's a good job by Lane Hubby. Watch him push the corner and drive him off and work back to the football. But that's a good sign because it's a timing route, which is the philosophy of Mike Riley, where Tommy Armstrong hits that back foot and delivers the ball before the receiver turns around.
Another BYU blitz. Armstrong threw it out wide. Alonzo Moore, very talented athlete. With the size and speed, they've been waiting for him to emerge as a star. Perhaps he will now as a junior. Eric Takanaka made the tackle. Here are today's impact players.
You're right. Alonzo Moore could be the guy that steps up to get production out of the receiver. Newby right there is the guy that's going to place Amir Abdullah, Kafusi, and Tulioma. 2 strong defensive linemen for the Cougars.
They are 2 of the best players on that defense. Alonzo Moore, that's out of the old playbook from Oregon State. Mike Riley and his staff love the fly sweeps and the reverses, and Moore gets the carry for 13 yards.
They lost Pearson L., who was that guy, that little fly sweep guy, that screen guy, and they were looking for the athletic Moore, playmaker, to step up. And right there you see Coach Riley and Coach Langsdorff, the offensive coordinator, finding ways to get him the football in space.
Now at the 46-yard line. Armstrong on the run. Good throw, and the first catch of the year for Jordan Westerkamp. Their leading returning receiver, junior captain from Lombard, Illinois.
And guys, I think early on in this game, it's so important for Mike Riley and offensive coordinator Danny Langsdorff to get Armstrong in a rhythm, get him comfortable and confident. He has a tendency, if you go back and study him, to be a little bit emotional, and if things don't go well early on, it can tailspin and turn into some other bigger problems. But he's confident early on and really feels good about the momentum of things. He tends to have his better game. So far, so good for Armstrong.
Right now, that demeanor could be credited to Mike Riley because of his demeanor.
3 for 3 is Armstrong. Throws deep on his back foot. Westerkamp open. He got chopped down inside the 20 at the 15 by Jordan Prater. A 21-yard gain for Nebraska.
Watching film with Todd McShay yesterday, we noticed that Tommy Armstrong does do this a lot. Watch him throw off the back foot and almost like a fadeaway in basketball. But what he gets away with is that strong whip arm, where he can deliver the ball with a little zip, even off of his back foot.
Nebraska looks sharp. on its opening drive of the season. It's marched from its own 12 to the BYU 15. Armstrong takes off running. They brought pressure off the corner for Michael Davis, and Armstrong stepped ahead for a yard and a half or so. It'll be second down.
Well, that's a bad sign for BYU. If you're having and getting exploited through the pass, what you have to resort to is start to bring different types of pressures to try to get some type of pressure on Tommy Armstrong.
Bronco Mendenhall, the BYU head coach, he also calls the defenses. The record speaks for itself. Won 70% of his games, averaged 9 wins per year. They set up a screen, and it's over the head of Terrell Newby. And that's another staple for Mike Riley and Danny Langsdorff. Mike Riley said, we are a huge screen team.
Yeah, and back in 13, 768 yards of their passing yards were off the screen. And that's set a record. That's a quarter of their offense. And I love the screen in the red zone because defenses don't expect it and you don't see it very often.
Third down and 9 from the 14. Cale Wilbon comes in at running back. Quick hitter to Westerkamp. He's in trouble and he's going to get away after it looked like he'd get dragged down for a loss. Instead, he's going to score. Tommy Armstrong gave him a big block.
Well, he's a senior. He's known for big plays, and he never quits. Longing right there, number 21, had a shot but couldn't finish. And a little roommate love. Tommy Armstrong throwing the key block on Davis to spring Westerkamp into the zone.
We visited with Tommy Armstrong yesterday. He's solidly put together, 217 pounds. Drew Brown kicks the extra point. Westerkamp caught 3 from his roommate on the opening drive. 14-yard touchdown pass officially. And an 88-yard drive. Yep. And first touchdown pass of the season for Tommy Armstrong. Couple of key losses to suspension on that BYU defense. Don't know how much of a factor that was on the opening drive, but they're playing without Kai Nakua, their starting safety rather, among others. Adam Hine takes an knee, and we send you back to Cassidy in the studio. That is one of the marquee games of this opening weekend in college football. This another attractive matchup. Two powerful programs, BYU and Nebraska, both have won national championships. Taysom Hill throwing deep on the first play of this drive and incomplete in the direction of Mitch Matthews, their leading receiver from a year ago. And Taysom Hill's former roommate. Taysom's now married, so Mitch decided it'd be a good idea to move out.
He got the boot. Good player. A lot of trust between those two.
Nebraska crowds the line of scrimmage. Adam Hine couldn't run away from the traffic. Dedrick Young, true freshman, thrust into action. Mentioned suspensions, and they are happening on both sides today. Mike Riley suspended 5 players for disciplinary reasons for this game, including a starting linebacker, Michael Rose-Ivy. So Dedrick Young on campus since January, out there as a true freshman today. Third down and 10. They bring a blitz again. Hill on target. Was he in bounds? No. The officials took a moment to rule that Mitch Matthews was across the boundary. He wants it replayed.
One thing you'll see here is the break by Joshua Kalua. Long and lanky. And it looks like from that angle, out of bounds.
Clearly. First foot down out.
Kalua is one of those guys, Sean. He's 6'1", so he can match up with those 6'6" wide receivers. Nice break by him. First time starter for the Cornhuskers.
So Johnny Linehan again, the rugby player, starred on their great rugby teams. Will punt again. Westerkamp back deep. Wow, how effective is that? Into about a 20-mile-per-hour breeze, kept it under the wind. Sends it all the way down to the 11-yard line where Michael Davis downed it. 64-yard punt in his first ever football game for Johnny Linehan. Oh, the punter on the football team, and that was a big punt, 64 yards, flip field position.
And kicked it across the field, too. Nice.
Tommy Armstrong goes under center. Hasn't done that a lot under the previous coaching staff. Terrell Newby straight ahead and yanked down by Bronson Kafusi, the senior from Provo, Utah, and long and lean at 6'8" and 280 pounds.
Yeah, and his dad's defensive line coach. He'll be proud of him on this particular play. Watch Bronson get off the ball, not panic, come under or over the top of the cut block by Janovich, and is able to finish, not giving 1 for 1. Way to finish. You love to see that.
Flag down, thrown by the referee, Michael Cannon. These are Big Ten officials. Nebraska Big Ten team, BYU an independent for the 5th year now.
Illegal substitution, offense, 12 men breaking the huddle, 5-yard penalty, 2nd down.
I think BYU has its answer as far as what offense they're going to see. Majority we've seen Oregon State, that pro-style offense. And, you know, I love the adjustment that Tommy Armstrong's made, taking snaps from under center. It's a whole different ball game when you're under there as opposed to in this formation, the shotgun.
On 2nd down and 14. Just a 3-man rush as Armstrong retreated to the end zone. Fires, and Westerkamp, another terrific catch. They're going to mark it at the 24-yard line. 1st down.
Well, it's about a timing. And right here, this is a timing throw. Before Westerkamp is out of his break, that ball is delivered on time and on target.
And it's very different from what we saw from him a year ago when we covered him against Wisconsin. We saw a little bit more in that USC game, the bowl game. Armstrong's come a long way from the quarterback we saw last year. Really impressed with his confidence and, as you mentioned, Chris, the timing.
18-yard completion to Westerkamp. Terrell Newby cuts back to the left and a good gain on 1st down of about 4. Logan Teele made the tackle, part of that front 3. There's Danny Langsdorf, longtime offensive coordinator for Mike Riley at Oregon State. Left last year, went to the New York Giants as the quarterback coach with his longtime friend Ben McAdoo, the offensive coordinator. Said he really enjoyed working for Tom Coughlin, but the chance to come back with Mike Riley and call the plays again in a great program like this was too much to pass up. On 2nd and 6, all day for Armstrong. That day's about to end. He flips it out of bounds as he was being taken down. Officials conferring now. And they are going to throw a flag. Logan Teele was the man putting the pressure on Armstrong.
You're going to watch the film tomorrow. And the first thing out of their mouth from Danny Langsdorf is, Tommy, you can run.
Intentional grounding, offense number 4. Ball did not get to the line of scrimmage. It's a loss of down, spot of the foul, 3rd down.
We get the fact that you want to make a play downfield, but look at all the space in front of him. Backs turned by the defenders. Go get positive yards and get out of bounds.
He's run for more than 900 yards in his career. He's capable as a runner. 3rd down and 14 now. The play call for Danny Langsdorf.
See if BYU drops 8 or brings pressure. Rarely do they just bring 4.
Screen. Brandon Riley. He's another they can emerge this year. He's been bothered by injuries, has great speed. He got close to the markers, but down about 2 yards short. Harvey Longy made the tackle with Michael Davis. And Nebraska's going to punt for the first time today. Here's Sam Foltz A 3-year starting punter now, junior from Greeley, Nebraska. Micah Hanneman back deep for BYU. And he's quite deep with the wind at the back of Fultz. That is a bomb into the wind. Will it stop? Touchback. Alonzo Moore got there, tried to save it, but could not. It's a 68-yard punt, but it'll come out. It was reviewed in the booth by Steve Newman, who said the call stands. He didn't say it was confirmed. They didn't have an angle to overturn it. So they marked the ball instead of the one. BYU out of its own end zone very quickly. And a big play to Taron Houck. Knocked out of bounds along the near sideline at the 25-yard line, a 24-yard gain.
Well, as a corner, you can't get nosy. Take a look at 23, jump inside, loses sight of a man coming into his zone, giving up the big play. Sean, I think BYU needs to implement a little bit of their spread read option type offense to get Taysom Hill involved in the running game. They haven't had a lot of success in their basic drop back pro style game.
Well, they said they're going to lean away from that because of his history of injuries. They know the key to their season is to keep him healthy. He throws a deep ball to an open receiver. Nick Kurtz the catch. Deep into Nebraska territory, down inside the 20. Byerson Cockrell made the tackle. First career catch as a Cougar for the junior Nick Kurtz.
Set up a little bit, and if safety sucked up a little bit on the quarterback draw, then you see him, when you're defined by your coach as the toughest, strongest, kindest guy, you'll take a hit to deliver the strike to Kurtz.
And standing right behind him, probably 20 yards behind him, he saw Malik Collins, the star defensive tackle, bearing down on him. Didn't even give it a thought. Staring down the gun barrel. He is so tough at that quarterback position.
Hill dodges the rush, takes off running, and dives ahead to the 17. And to get back to what you said a moment ago, Chris, about the quarterback runs, Taysom told us last night, basically he doesn't expect that Robert Anae, the offensive coordinator, is going to call design quarterback runs. He thinks all the running he's going to do is going to be on plays like that last one.
Yeah, and they also, and if they do run a read option, Sean, they have a pass option off of that zone read look.
Hill got 5. Play faking a good one. Throws to the corner of the end zone. Incomplete. Intended for Kurtz. And there is a flag down on the play. Daniel Davey had the coverage.
That's the look we were just talking about. They ran a zone read look, but what they added to their offense last year and built on it with Taysom Hill is the pass off the zone read, where he doesn't have to run but look to throw first before he decides to tuck it.
Pass interference, defense number 23. Foul occurred in the end zone. 15-yard penalty from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
Right there, he grabs him. You don't need to grab. Just trust your training. Don't look back too early. That way, as soon as you start looking back, receivers normally pull away.
Davey, returning starter. They've been waiting for Nick Kurtz. He was a junior college star, then injured last year at BYU, had a foot injury, did not play. Hill, that is a design run for the quarterback, and it's a touchdown. Taysom Hill takes the Cougars on a 99-yard drive. They're an extra point away from a tie game. Trevor Sampson, senior, second-year place kicker for BYU, adds the extra point. BYU and Nebraska tied at 7 with 2:50 to go in the first quarter. Took them only 4 plays to go 99 yards. And a touchdown for Taysom Hill. He had completions of 24 and 53 yards on the drive and then ran it in for the score. Austin Brasher's squib kick, and fortunately for Terrell Newby, it went out of bounds. Here's Todd McShay. All right, we're having some difficulty with Todd's microphone, obviously. But now I'm curious. It's just kind of like a tease. It builds the drama to find out what Todd's scouting report about Taysom Hill is.
I'm going to give a scouting report for the BYU offensive staff. He's got to be involved in the running game, but he has to be smart. See, Taysom can avoid a lot of that contact if he is disciplined enough to go down and not get hit. But when he's part of that offensive running game, he's tough to stop, and they're tough to stop.
Tommy Armstrong goes into the pistol now for Nebraska. Mikhail Wilbon looking for running room. Good patience. Waited for a hole to emerge and wound up getting 5. Here's Cassidy. Cassidy, thank you. Both teams anticipate going with running back by committee, BYU and Nebraska. Nebraska trying to replace Amir Abdullah, one of the great players in school history, now with the Detroit Lions. Wilbon getting his turn right now, the redshirt freshman playing in his first college game. A couple of nice runs to get a first down. That one a gain of 7.
Looked a little bit like Amir right there with the quick stop-and-go moves, and that's the difference between he and Newby. Newby more straight-ahead Ed, Wilbon with a little shake and bake.
Thought he might be related to our friend and colleague Michael Wilbon, proud Chicagoan. Keith Mann, the sports information director here at Nebraska, tells us they are not related. Alonzo Moore is injured.
It's a guy that they're counting on this year to production. Loss of Kenny Bell, outstanding receiver for Nebraska. Alonzo Moore is a guy they hope steps up and fills that role.
Kenny Bell just got put on injured reserve yesterday by the Tampa Bay Bucks. They're already without DeMornay Pearson L, who suffered a foot injury a couple of weeks ago in practice, non-contact injury, but suffered a fractured bone in his foot. He had surgery. They said at the time 6 to 8 weeks. Great punt returner, led the country with 3 punt returns for touchdowns last year. And Mike Riley thinks he could be like Brandon Cooks was at Oregon State, a guy who can be a prolific wide receiver, both catching and running the football.
Yeah, and that's a big part of Coach Riley's offense, and that's a type of athlete that he's going out to recruit, those kind of hybrid guys that do everything type guys, because it makes your offense so much more explosive.
1st and 10. Amani Cross now getting a shot as the eye back for Nebraska. Lone back in this set. And he's chopped down for a loss. Good penetration by Logan Taele. Dick's Sporting Goods kickoff week continues tonight on ABC. 20th ranked Wisconsin taking on number 3 Alabama. That's tonight at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific on ABC's Saturday Night Football, presented by Wells Fargo. Those teams have met once previously. It was November 3rd of 1928, 3 days before Herbert Hoover was elected president. Wisconsin won 15-10. Our statistician Marty Aronoff was there. He was very proud to vote for Hoover a few days later.
BYU, they're first. There'll be a 30-second timeout.
Timeout called by BYU. And after a very effective tease, we now believe that Stormy McShay has his microphone working. You know, it's opening day. We're working the kinks out as we go along. Stormy, how about that much anticipated scouting report on Taysom Hill?
I knew you guys were waiting on that. All right, Taysom Hill, evaluating him, remember, as an NFL prospect, mental makeup, B, I think he has some work to do in terms of adjusting to the next level, but clearly a very intelligent quarterback. Accuracy is a C. I know that's going to jump out. Anticipation, throwing the ball down the field, inconsistent, but we've seen today an improvement in that regard. Delivery and arm strength. Arm strength is, I'd say, adequate to above average. Delivery, gets the ball out, has a smooth stroke. And I think the best part of his game is pocket mobility. And that's not just speed and athleticism, that's also pocket presence, feeling the rush coming, understanding when he has to get the football out.
Look at that mental makeup, an A.
I knew you would disagree with that. Little swing pass, Tommy Armstrong, Mikhail Wilbon. He's been impressive on this series for Nebraska. Out to the 41-yard line of BYU. Good block by Westerkamp to spring him for 14 yards.
Well, Westerkamp is the key to everything right here. He's setting it up, but Wilbon, patience. See, that's hard for a young guy to establish. And right there, Westerkamp gets away with a little bit of a hold, but the patience of a young running back is something that they should be optimistic about with Danny Langsdorff and Mike Riley and their young back.
High snap and a quick throw. Intended for Jamal Turner. Micah Hanneman there for BYU. Just the second incomplete pass for Tommy Armstrong. Now 8 out of 10 for 115 yards and a touchdown.
Armstrong had a few words for Turner, and I can tell you what he said. You've got to come back to that football. Turner sat there and waited, which allowed Hanahan to come up and make the break. That's what he's telling him. Come get the ball.
Pete Williams, the wide receiver coach. 2nd and 10. Armstrong steps into a throw. Caught. First down. Alonzo Moore, who was helped off not long ago, back on the field to make the catch at the 22, a gain of 19.
Well, they rave about athletic ability. Alonzo Moore was recruited as an athlete, and this is why. When you can go down and catch a ball like that, Todd.
You can see why.
High snap. Moore wide open. Moore down the sideline into the end zone. Touchdown, Nebraska. Matt Hadley couldn't take down Alonzo Moore. First career touchdown for the junior. The end of a 7-play, 65-yard drive. Both of these offenses impressive in the first quarter. 22-yard scoring play.
Runner caught the pass, went into the end zone without stepping out of bounds. The play is under further review.
Right here, Hanneman, number 7's job. Since he's the furthest most outside guy, he has to force everything back inside. Watch him gamble right here. He's going to jump inside, which creates running space and an outstanding block. Right there by your tight end, Sutton, to spring more. But that's discipline. When you play screens, Sean, it's a lot like gap responsibility. You have to know where your help's coming from. It's not from the outside. All your help is coming from the inside.
David Sutton, the tight end, 86, out there blocking. Clearly never went out of bounds. They're playing without Sethan Carter today, listed as a co-starter at tight end, their best receiving tight end. He's suspended for the opener. Extra point up and good by Drew Brown. 14-7 Nebraska, nearing the end of the first quarter in Lincoln. It has donated millions in scholarship funds to colleges and universities around the country. Drew Brown picks it through the back of the end zone. Well, Todd and Chris, an impressive start to the season for Tommy Armstrong Jr.
Yeah, Sean, you can just see the confidence. He's in the pocket, the timing, getting the ball out on time, and the big-time arm that he has. Chris, I'm so impressed just the way that Coach Riley and Langsdorff have handled him and how he's responded.
Well, I love the play calls. I mean, that's probably the 5th screen that we've seen today. If you want to get a quarterback confidence that struggled with 52% completion rate last year, throw a lot of screens, and he'll be confident hitting those, and he'll be confident throwing the ball down the field.
Taysom Hill trying to respond quickly. These two teams moving briskly up and down the field. Colby Pearson, the catch for BYU. It might be the last play of the quarter. Good for an 8-yard gain. 33 career touchdown passes now for Tommy Armstrong Jr. End of the first quarter in Lincoln. 302 total yards of offense between the two teams, and the Huskers lead by a touchdown. Heading to the second quarter here in Lincoln at Memorial Stadium before a crowd of 89,959, the 341st consecutive sellout, dating back to 1962 here at Memorial Stadium. BYU ball down by a touchdown. 2nd and 2. Taysom Hill throws to Colby Pearson for a first down. He weaved his way to the 41 before he was chopped down by Nate Gary.
Out there working on Luke Gifford, who's in for Michael Rose-Ivy. Luke Gifford got caught with his eyes in the backfield and had a very late break on the ball, which allowed for a positive gain.
They're very thin at linebacker even without the suspension to Michael Rose-Ivy. Hill going deep. Looking for Matthews, trying to run under it. Some late contact with Kalub, but a good no flag. It'll be 2nd down and 10. Well, it's so common opening game of the season. You see disciplinary suspensions. Players have had a long time to misbehave. In the case of Nebraska, 5 players suspended, 3 of them key players, Rose-Ivy and Rose, listed as starters on the defense. Carter, a co-starter at tight end. Joe Keels had shoulder surgery. He wouldn't have played anyway, and Robbie Painter is a backup offensive lineman and really not a factor. Hill, as you might expect, gets away and now throws it away just shy of the line of scrimmage with Josh Banderas, the middle linebacker, in his face.
Good discipline right here by the black shirts. Mark Banker, the defensive coordinator, not biting inside. You see Jack Gangwish force him out, then Banderas coming for second contain, forcing the throwaway.
Gangwish slow to get up after the play. Senior, 5th year out of Wood River, Nebraska. Grew up dreaming about being a Cornhusker player, was not highly recruited. Was 225 pounds out of high school, came here as a walk-on, and as a 5th-year senior team captain. They put the black shirts in the lockers on Monday, indicating which players would be starting in the season opener for the Nebraska defense. Tradition that dates back to the 1960s, and you could see how much it meant to Gangwish. Yeah. He was in tears for quite a while in that locker room.
It means a lot. I mean, I think it's a great tradition in college football in years past. We've done a few Nebraska games, Sean, and from my respect for that tradition, they didn't deserve the black shirts. So far, the early return on Mike Riley's defense is that they're playing well enough to wear those black shirts in practice.
Mark Banker is the defensive coordinator. He's been with Mike Riley for a long time at Oregon State and with the San Diego Chargers in the NFL. 19 years they've been together. Gangwish off the field, starting defensive end out of the game on 3rd down and 10. BYU for its own 41. 3-man rush. Hill has a man and a juggling catch made. Again, the advantage of height for those Cougar receivers. Taryn Houck up in the air. 19 yards and a first down.
Well, Hale knows to throw the ball high, let his guys go. But Kalu, number 10, is late. Watch him hesitate just right there. You see that little hesitation? He could have came in and knocked that ball out, but that hesitation cost him.
Yeah, he really didn't play the ball or the man there.
Can't be thinking out there. Go get the ball.
3 out of 4 now on 3rd down for Taysom Hill. The drive continues. Hill takes off running. Oh boy, that's what the coaches don't want to see. He got popped by Aaron Williams. Bronco Mendenhall told us yesterday, Chris and Todd, we tell him to slide, we tell him to run out of bounds, and he's just not going to do it, and we know that.
And they also said they wanted to call design runs. That was a design run because he had a center 15 yards downfield. He's got to make the decision, Sean, a conscious decision to get down. Not to prove how tough he is, but it's selfish if he takes hits. He's got to protect himself for the good of the team.
That's hard to do, as you know, when you're competitive as he is, and you are. Algie Brown out of the backfield, wrapped up and out of bounds by Luke Gifford. Redshirt freshman, he's the one seeing the bulk of the playing time in the absence of Michael Rose-Ivy. 8-yard gain for the Cougars. On the move again.
He looks good. I mean, Taysom Hill, one of the questions coming in was accuracy. I think Todd had a C- on him. And Taysom was bound and determined to prove not only myself wrong, but Todd wrong.
Corner blitz. Hill saw it coming. Flag down. We would expect a holding call. Hill's in the end zone. And we await the verdict on the flag. Not showing any after effects of the broken leg. And he said he's 100%
Personal
healthy.
foul, hands to the face. Offense number 55. 15-yard penalty. Replay second down.
Don't think he meant 55. They don't have a number 55 on the field. Perhaps 56, the center. So it was against the defensive player, number 55. And that's the call. It's going against the defense. Michael Cannon, the referee, said offense and pointed in the wrong direction. But it's going against Kevin Maurice, the backup defensive tackle. And it's a 21-yard touchdown run for BYU. Mark Bankert trying to figure out what went on there.
What's going on is Taysom Hill is taking this game over with not only his arm, but he's starting to utilize what he does best, his legs.
Michael Cannon, the referee, still over by the BYU sideline. I think they're happy to get the good news, even if it's a little bit late and miscommunicated originally. Trevor Sampson to try to tie it out of the hold of Mitchell Juergens. 75 yards in 8 plays. Just 2 minutes and 3 seconds to do it for BYU. Taysom Hill limping a bit on the sideline. Second touchdown of the game for Hill. This one 21 yards. Tied at 14. Warming up. The hands to the face penalty against Nebraska on the touchdown administered there on the kickoff. So Austin Brasher booted it through the end zone. And Chris, tough to tell what happened to Taysom Hill because as he ran into the end zone, there really wasn't any indication that he was in distress.
Yeah, initially he took off and showed good burst right about the 5. You can see that he kind of got a little gimp in his giddy up right about there. I don't know. I mean,
he ran fine. It was only when he started walking toward the bench that there was the sign of a limp. Even there, he was walking all right for a while.
I hate to see that, and him running the football is such a big part of this offense, but it was a non-contact injury. That's just bad luck.
Well, Nebraska starts from its own 25. The offense is marching up and down the field, both over 150 yards of total offense. Armstrong into a crowd, and Westerkamp couldn't make the diving catch.
See, he's down. His calf, I think, is cramping right there. That's a good sign when they go ahead and stretch that toe out and throw a water bottle in you. That was a mental error by Riley. Riley brought that route into Westerkamp. They had 2 guys in the same area. In this type of passing offense, it's always levels, and 2 guys are never on the same level.
And you don't mean Mike Riley, you mean the receiver, Brandon Riley.
Thank you. Yeah, Mike's not running the route.
No.
He could probably.
Yeah, he's in good shape at 62. It was an interesting hire when Mike was hired by Sean Eichhorst, the athletic director here, to replace Bo Pelini. I think most people just assumed Mike grew up in Corvallis, 2 stints at Oregon State, winningest coach there. It's home for him. But he said he was ready for one last adventure. His pay just about doubled when he came to Nebraska. He didn't mention that as a factor, but it doesn't hurt when you're trying to make a decision. And Mrs. Riley decides if she wants to come along for the trip as well. 93 wins over his 2 stints. Spent 2 years there. Went to the San Diego Chargers. Came back. 6-2 in bowl games. And bear in mind, when he took it over the first time, they were one of the worst programs in college football. 2 Grey Cups as the head coach of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in his early 30s. Coached in San Antonio in the World League of American Football. 41 years of coaching experience for Mike Riley. And it's his reputation. He's the nicest man in coaching, and every time we visit with him, he lives up to it.
He is, and the other thing he brings to the table is that he spent a lot of time on the defensive side of the ball. So he's coached and coordinated defenses, he's coached and coordinated offenses, and he's now an offensive guy because he has so much trust in Mark Banker. And during the week, he and Langsdorf and Tommy Armstrong, they get together. He's a big part of this playbook, but Danny calls all the plays on game day with influence from Mike.
We talk about his personality, reading an article written in the Winnipeg paper about Mike's transition to Nebraska. The writer mentioned that Mike thanked the reporter for coming down from Winnipeg to interview him and write the article. Alonzo Moore, the ball carrier, right out of that old Oregon State Beaver playbook. Good for a little more than 10 and a first down just across the 35-yard line.
Well, there has to be an adjustment right here at halftime for BYU. What happens is their defensive contained man, the guy responsible for turning the ball back inside, is getting pinned inside, creating a short corner on a jet sweep.
Mikhail Wilbon, the running back now. He was nifty on the last drive. High snap, but a false start before the snap.
False start. Offense, number 13. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Lane Hovey, one of the wide receivers.
First and 15 from the Nebraska 30-yard line.
Nebraska penalized 5 times already for 40 yards. BYU has not been penalized. Penalties were a problem last year for the Cougars. They're still working on Westerkamp's cramp. And both teams knew it was going to be a hot day and talked about taking the necessary precautions, hydrating before the game, but it still happens. Wilbon banged down. Harvey Longy made the tackle. Here's Cassidy. Read one article that called Rosa the next Peyton Manning. That's not a lot to live up to before you've even played a game.
Yeah, he's something. And he's got to be successful. If he can get that offense going with that strong defense led by Miles Jack, they'll be pretty solid.
Armstrong throws a little bit too far ahead of Brandon Riley. Eric Takanaka had the coverage.
To me, it looked like Tommy Armstrong's footwork was off a little bit. Did not step all the way to his target. His feet were a little bit open, which caused the wide throw.
Westerkamp back in the huddle for Nebraska. As you know, Chris, oftentimes once you start cramping, it can be a hard thing to get rid of.
And that's why you got to get IVs at halftime. I'm telling you, IVs they'll cure all. That's what I did as a player, and I think everybody should do it, especially receivers and running backs.
3rd down and 13. 3-man rush for the Cougars. Armstrong throws, and it is caught for a first down by Brandon Riley. In traffic, he made the catch at the 49-yard line, a gain of 16, and they convert on 3rd down and long.
The matchup I was looking at coming into this game was the inexperienced wide receivers of Nebraska against the Cougar secondary, who was torched last year, and as of this year, they're getting torched again because the timing between the receiver and quarterback has been perfect for the Cornhuskers today.
BYU gave up 270 yards passing per game last year, 112th in the country in pass defense. Armstrong's throw over the head of Alonzo Moore. We mentioned they're playing without Kai Nakua. Their starting free safety, who was at the center of their ugly brawl at the end of their bowl game, the Miami Beach Bowl against Memphis. Trey Dye also suspended. He is part of the rotation at inside receiver. Sione Takitaki, a pass rushing linebacker, would have played. Tomasi was a backup defensive lineman, and Jamal Williams is out for the year. And Bronco Mendenhall, that's a huge loss. Williams, one of the best running backs in school history.
False start. Offense number 71. 5-yard penalty. 2nd down.
They've known for a while they were going to be without Williams. As Bronco Mendenhall said, it's just making the same mistake too many times, so he's out of school for a year. They hope he'll be back and expect he will be next year.
Yeah, and I think it's good of them to give him a second chance. One other note I want to make, Michael Davis, the starting corner, is out, and you have true freshman number 18, Michael Shelton, out there. And this is a tough place to play in your first game as a true freshman at corner. They're going to test him.
He's here, but he's not on the field at the moment. He went off injured a little while ago. He turned to the sideline. We don't see him out there right now. Armstrong throws. Whoa, whoa, whoa. David Sutton, the intended receiver, and then he took a hit in the legs. The crowd thought that was late from Jordan Prater. And Sutton very slow to get up on the Cougar sideline. And he's limping. Now he goes back down. Yeah, not only was it late, but he dove at the legs of Sutton. The crowd saw the replay on the video board, and you can hear the reaction. Yeah, that needs to be flagged, doesn't it?
Yeah, he's coming in there late, and I guess I'm saying he's wrong, but one thing he might be thinking right now is try to avoid the contact and just go down.
Not far from Memorial Stadium, the state capitol building here in Lincoln, Nebraska. Start of the season for BYU and Nebraska, tied at 14. David Sutton, the tight end, carted to the locker room. He gave the crowd the thumbs up and then started gesturing as if he wanted them to make some noise. 3rd down and 15. Armstrong won for his last 5. Pressured immediately. Had a good call against it, a screen, but couldn't execute. Intended for Terrell Newby, and Nebraska will punt.
Better discipline by BYU on a screen. Remington Peck does a good job of forcing Newby to go around the blocker.
And that's twice now, guys, that it's been 3rd and long, and instead of trying to put Armstrong in a position to throw the ball downfield and maybe force it and make a mistake like he's been put in that position in the past, they're going to the screen route, something safe underneath, and hoping they can get yards after the catch. But they're not going to put him in a spot where he makes that big mistake and loses the confidence that he's gained in the first half.
Sam Foltz on to punt. His first one was in the other direction with the wind and went 67 yards to the BYU 1. This one is into about a 20 mile per hour breeze. Eric Takanaka back deep. Nebraska takes the delay of game penalty.
Delay of game, offense. 5-yard penalty, 4th down.
Let's take a look at today's Aflac trivia question. Aflac! If you were with us earlier, you should know this. It's a test to see if you were paying attention. Nebraska's won 29 straight season openers, the longest active streak in the FBS. What was the last team to beat Nebraska in a season opening game?
To think about that.
No, you don't. First of all, we told you the question yesterday.
You didn't tell me the answer, though.
Foltz's punt is downed by Alonzo Moore. I'm going to mark it at the 22-yard line. Well, you see, Robert and I said they want the offense to match the effort level of the defense. The defense plays with great effort. He wants the offense to do that too, and this offense is going to have to rally around the true freshman Tanner Mangum. His first appearance in a BYU game. Still no word from the sideline about what's wrong with Taysom Hill, who injured himself apparently on his touchdown run on their last possession. Coaches say Mangum has a big arm, not the running threat that Hill is. Nate Gary up from his safety spot to wallop Nate Carter, and right on cue, Taysom Hill running without a hitch back on the Cougar sideline.
Well, that's good to see right there. And Mangum has been very impressive in training camp, back from his 2-year mission. He's looked strong in training camp, and he looks strong in warm-up. Sean, I remarked to you how well and accurate he throws that football.
Many of these players do a 2-year church mission. See, Hill looked like he's looking for his helmet, wants to come back in. Malik Collins in hot pursuit. Mangum on target, 1st down. Devon Blackman swung down, but he was beyond the markers before he was thrown back by Daniel Davey.
Yeah, first the quickness of Malik Collins, who beats his man one-on-one. That's why NFL scouts like him. Then the accuracy on a run by Magnum, and the receiver working back to help out his young quarterback.
Hill has his helmet on, wants to come back in. Mangum saying, hey coaches, I can run. And here comes Hill. After 9-yard gain by Mangum. Well done by the freshman thrown in to the battle. Todd?
I was just told by a BYU official that Taysom Hill has a foot sprain, and they're working on taping it up properly to the point where he can run around and be the guy that he is, and they obviously got it done. He's back in there on the field. So it was a foot sprain. That's why he left the field. They're able to take care of it by taping it up, and he's back now.
Just glad it's not a knee or that leg injury, Sean.
He hands it off. Mitchell Juergens turned the corner. Down at midfield, another first down for BYU. You wonder, Chris, when he scored that last touchdown, he kind of abruptly slammed the brakes on as he got in the end zone. If you wonder, he jammed his legs into the ground apparently for no reason if he hurt himself, because it didn't look like it happened during the run.
Well, I think his best attribute is toughness, and guess what? He gets a chance to prove that today in front of the nation. It looked like it too. He did grimace a little bit and was hurt on the jog back to the bench after putting up 6.
The pistol, the run fake. He gets away from the rush of Gangwish again, and a big hit delivered. Flag down on the play. Brian Sampson got belted by Byerson Cockrell. And it's a holding penalty against BYU.
You mentioned the belt.
Holding. Offense number 56. 10-yard penalty. Replay first down.
T-John Karoma, the terrific sophomore center, freshman All-American last year.
Well, his burst through the pocket looks nice right here. Right now, he's running full speed. Doesn't look in much pain. And a little grimace right there at the very end when he slammed on those brakes.
I don't know if he slammed the brakes on because he had the foot sprain first. You know, it's the old chicken and the egg. Did he sprain his foot and that's why he stopped abruptly, or did stopping somewhat abruptly cause the problem? It's the first penalty of the game against the Cougars. Hill fires, caught, and escaping is Devon Blackman, one of the fastest players on the Cougar team. He has a first down to the Cornhusker 39.
Blackman's probably, as you said, one of the fastest, but also a way that they have to manufacture to get him the football. And I love the way he works back to the quarterback. And if you're wondering about Taysom's foot right there, he planted his feet well and was able to throw out that back foot to deliver the strike.
21-yard gain. They needed 20 for the first down. Crowd screaming about an obvious hold, and the flag is thrown. Hill goes out of bounds at the 34, but that's going to come back. 89,000 additional referees on Michael
Offense number
Cannon's
78. 10-yard penalty. Replay first down.
Tuni Kanuch, the guard, right guard.
Yeah, right there, and he's working on big number 98, 55, Kevin Maurice. And Maurice does a good job of, with that uppercut swim, attacking half the body as a pass rusher and getting around him, forcing Kanuch to get the grab.
It's a veteran offensive line. They think it's going to be one of the best they've had in recent years at BYU. They gave Hill time, and he's on target to Nick Kurtz. Josh Kalu, the coverage.
Taysom Hill doesn't look any worse for the wear. You were talking about, Chris, getting it the top of his drop, driving off the back foot. The timing was there. The ball came out before the receiver even broke from his route. Really looks sharp.
Yeah, I think it's one of those injuries where you can count on adrenaline to get you through. It certainly will be sore after and tomorrow.
2nd and 8. Game tied at 14. The blitz came, and they complete the pass to Pearson. Upended by Josh Kalu. It's another first down for BYU to the 25-yard line.
Well, in order to have Taysom be effective, you got to be able to pick up the blitz like Hine, number 28, does. Working on Gifford. Remember, he's in for Rose Ivy, who's out because of a suspension. And that's a guy they're targeting in their one-on-one underneath coverage.
Hill to the end zone. Incomplete. Good coverage by Daniel Davey on Nick Kurtz. They mentioned they have 3 wide receivers, 6'5" or taller, and in this part of the field, oftentimes all 3 of them are out there hoping to catch balls thrown high in the end zone.
This is good discipline by Davey with that right arm. Not turning and grabbing, avoiding grabbing, coming with the left arm, and Malik Collins giving Taysom Hill a chance to prove his toughness once again.
2nd and 10. Hill throws short to another of those tall targets, Taryn Houck. They have 3 players on the field right now at wide receiver, 6'5" or taller. Matthews. We talked to him yesterday. He's every bit of 6'6". Kurtz and Haupt.
Hey,
There's a lot of options in that end zone when they're all running around down there.
The other thing too with that, Sean, is when they're tall like that, they're pretty well put together. So they have strength, and they use that leverage of their height and strength to push off, just like he did right there in Barson Cockrell as Daniel Davies helped off the field.
Please reset the game clock for 6 minutes, 30 seconds. Thank you.
Back at Memorial Stadium in Lincoln, BYU trying to take its first lead of the game. The Cougars and Cornhuskers tied at 14. 3rd down and 3 for BYU from the Nebraska 18. Nate Carter buried. They tried to trick him and they didn't fool Josh Banderas.
Josh Banderas, number 52. They're in man coverage with a blitz, and right there comes free. Now, Sean, you got to throw the ball in that. You got matchups and height matchups. You got to throw the ball. 3rd and 3 situation like that. It's an automatic get for them if they would have threw it.
41-yard try for Trevor Sampson. Plenty of wind at his back. The distance shouldn't be an issue, and the accuracy not a problem either. Just about right down the middle for Sampson, who was accurate a year ago. He made 12 out of 14. First lead of the game for the visiting Cougars with 5:42 to go in the opening half.
Flag.
Time for the answer. Nebraska, the longest active winning streak in season openers, 29 in a row. The last team to beat them, Florida State, here in Lincoln on a similarly hot day, 93 degrees at kickoff, September of 1985, with Danny McManus, the quarterback for the Seminoles.
Sammy Smith, running back, I think number 33, if I remember correctly. I believe played for the Miami Dolphins at one time. He's a good player, really good tailback.
5 national championships won by Nebraska, 43 conference championships, but none since 1999. Tommy Armstrong and the Cornhuskers trying to change that this year in year 1 under Mike Riley. He was well aware, Coach Riley, the opening day winning streak that he has inherited. Austin Brasher kicking off with the win. Back to the studio. Here's Cassidy.
First and 10 for Nebraska from their own 25-yard line.
How do you like Auburn's chances being one of those 4 teams in the college football playoff this year?
Well, they were talking about the quarterback as a Heisman Trophy winner that hasn't taken a snap yet today on game day, or somebody was mentioning that, and I don't know. I mean, if Will Muschamp can get that defense going like he can and the quarterback plays up to his ability, I absolutely like Auburn.
Nebraska offense a bit stagnant recently after a strong start to the game. And Mikhail Wilbon got 2 all on his own. This is year 2 of the college football playoff. It was an enormous success by just about everybody's judgment a year ago. It'll conclude in beautiful Glendale, Arizona in the Valley of the Sun on Monday, January 11th after the semifinals, which this year will be in the Goodyear Cotton Bowl and the Capital One Orange Bowl.
I got a few sleepers in that playoff in that Final Four that I'll share later.
Semifinals on New Year's Eve. Problems on the handoff, and it's recovered by BYU's Fred Warner. Just a simple exchange between Armstrong and Wilbon, muffed. And it's the first turnover of the game. Fred Warner, the recovery.
This is usually the quarterback's fault. Now let's see where he places that ball into the running back. Todd and I were actually talking about this yesterday during film, and it looks like that ball hit the upper arm of the redshirt freshman, Mikhail Wilbon. See that?
Yeah, but I think the problem really started with the snap, Chris. The snap was a little to the left of Armstrong. It looked like he was sort of juggling it the entire time.
And the timing of the whole play is thrown off of a bad snap on a shotgun.
Hill throws short for a 6-yard completion to Mitchell Juergens, a walk-on until just prior to this season, now on scholarship as a junior. And Juergens going to have to play more snaps than usual today. That was a concern for Robert and I because they don't have Trey Dye, one of the BYU players suspended for this game, part of that rotation inside. Algie Brown, the running back. Hill dumped it off to him. He got belted, managed to fall forward for a yard. Greg McMullen, Josh Banderas in on the tackle.
I'll tell you, Nebraska's doing a much better job of wrapping up and tackling this year. Mark Banker has emphasized in training camp taking better angles, and so far they have. They haven't had a lot of missed tackles like they've had in the past.
Third down and 3. They failed to convert in a similar situation a moment ago. Settled for a field goal, not this time. As Chris said the last time, throw the football. They did, and Mitch Matthews scores for BYU.
Well, the matchup one-on-one, Sean. Coverage with Mitch Matthews against Kalu. Kalu lets him inside. If you're playing man-to-man, you must protect the inside, especially if there's no safety. You get back on your heels, you give up the inside. There's too much field to work with, and it's too easy for the former roommates to connect on touchdown.
Trevor Sampson. Extra point good. 17 straight points for the Cougars. 15-yard touchdown pass. It was set up by the game's first turnover, the fumble on the missed handoff. Mitch Matthews to score. Unanimous preseason #1, trying to defend their national title and avenge their only loss of last season in a rematch with the Virginia Tech Hokies. That's 8 Eastern time on ESPN Monday night. Frank Beamer called it the biggest game they've had in Blacksburg. Unanimous #1 coming to town.
JT Barrett in a close one for the Buckeyes. It's going to be closer than a lot of people think.
You think JT will start?
I do think he'll start, absolutely.
And you're Mr. Buckeye, so you must know something.
I don't know anything. I just know that what Urban likes, and he likes that quarterback that has running back skill.
Our Pacific Life game summary. Mike Riley's first game as Nebraska coach, 29th head coach in school history. Tommy Armstrong off to a great start. Started 10 for 12 with 2 touchdowns, including that one to Alonzo Moore. Taysom Hill's been just a little bit better. He's passed for a touchdown just a moment ago to Mitch Matthews. He scored their first 2 touchdowns rushing, and that's the Pacific Life game summary. On 1st and 10, Armstrong hit as he threw, and it's too high for Jordan Westerkamp.
There's a player I love right there, Tuiloma, nose guard in a 3-4. He's a vital position, and he cannot be left alone one-on-one against Dylan Utter. Has no shot. You watch him on film, he jumps off the film, and he plays that position like no other nose guard in a 3-4 that I've seen in college football in a while.
Junior from Topeka, Kansas. Bronco Mendenhall said he is their best defensive lineman. That's saying a lot because he has some good running mates there with Kapusi and Taele. Middle screen. Mikhail Wilbon might have been off to the races, but he got tripped up. There is a flag down at the line of scrimmage. Fred Warner made a big tackle where it might have been many more yards for Wilbon.
Illegal formation, offense, more than 4 men in the backfield. 5-yard penalty, replay second down.
You'll see that when you install a new offense. First game mistakes.
8th penalty.
Makes it 2nd and 15 for Nebraska.
Against Nebraska.
On their own 20-yard line.
Frustrating.
55 yards. Yeah, sorry, Chris. It's very frustrating. And, you know, when you're a new coach in a new environment, you kind of feel like sloppy play reflects on you. And Mike Riley's never one to point the finger at somebody else. I'm sure he will assume his part of the blame for this. Armstrong fired it into the ground. They might be going to the screen well a little bit too often. Here's Todd.
I agree, Sean. I think one of the issues for Nebraska is their inability to run the football. Most of the time when you see offensive linemen matched up against defensive linemen, the offensive linemen have 15, 20, 25-pound advantages. It's not the case. The Nebraska front is averaging around 290 pounds, and it's the same thing for the BYU defensive front. They are stout versus the run, and I think Nebraska's got to figure out a way to supplement that run game because right now they just have 34 yards rushing heading into the half.
Tommy Armstrong on a read option in the second half is how you supplement the run game.
On 3rd and 15, he's in trouble. Bronson Kafusi takes him down. Armstrong flipped the ball away, but they're marking Armstrong down. I believe that's the indication from the referee back at the 7-yard line.
6'8", 280 of determination.
Intentional grounding, offense number 4. There's no receiver in the area. They lost it down at the spot of the foul, 4th down.
One of the things Bronson Kafusi can do is get off the ball. Basketball player, his butt up in the air, he's in his track stance because they're knowing they're going to throw the football, and just a quick inside move gets help from a pick from one of his fellow defenders and closing speed to get Armstrong Jr. to the ground.
He played a year on the basketball team with BYU. His brother Corbin's on the basketball team now. Sister Alexis played basketball there. Chris mentioned earlier that their dad Steve, longtime defensive line coach at BYU. So on 4th and 29, Foltz punting into the wind out of his own end zone. Micah Hanneman caught it on the run and a nice return down the sideline. Great field position for BYU at the 39-yard line. Nolan Graham made the tackle. Dick's Sporting Goods kickoff week continues on ABC. 20th ranked Wisconsin. Last year they opened the year against LSU, another SEC opponent tonight. 3rd ranked Alabama. That's tonight at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific on ABC's Saturday Night Football. Another coaching debut. Paul Christ returns to Madison after spending a couple of years at Pitt as the head coach.
I believe their quarterback, Joel Stave, will have a little bit more of a comfort level with Paul Christ than he did with Gary Anderson.
Well, last year he wasn't the starter. Clearly he was dividing time. That seemed to divide their team. Adam Heaney, the ball carrier. Dedrick Young made the tackle.
Impressive for a true freshman. Stage isn't too big for Dedrick. Shown well first half.
Mike Riley was very honest. He said we were recruiting Dedrick to Oregon State, but we didn't really think we were going to get him and had almost given up. He's from Peoria, Arizona. So then we came to Nebraska, and that's kind of an indication that it's easier to recruit here in Nebraska than it was at Oregon State. Flag down. High throw over the head of Mitch Matthews, and you have to throw it almost off the facing of the upper deck to throw it over his head.
You know what makes this offense so difficult to defend in their pass game? They
Illegal formation, more than 4 in the backfield, offense. 5-yard penalty, replay second down.
They attack the whole field. They make you defend everywhere. They'll attack you in the middle. They'll attack you short, to the corners, deep, intermediate. And that's because they have a veteran quarterback that knows the offense and big, tall wide receivers that understand to sit it down in zone coverage and run it across versus man.
Nebraska turned down the penalty. 3rd down and 9. This is probably not in field goal range, even with the gusty wind. Sampson's long is 45, and Mendenhall said they'd like to get to about the 25-yard line to try a field goal. Timeout called by the Cougars. It is a 30-second timeout. So now it is time for Kerry Spielman's run play, design quarterback run in spring game. He laughed out loud because I'm just not used to seeing that in one of our practices. They have it. They haven't really used it. Hill on 3rd and 9 throws short of the first down. Nate Gary made the tackle on Devon Blackman. It is ruled a catch, and perhaps it's enough yardage to try the field goal, though it doesn't look like it. It looks like they're sending the offense some subs on to go for it on 4th down.
Well, this is their comfort territory. Remember, this forces Nebraska to play man-to-man, and Nebraska's had trouble matching up with the tall receivers of Brigham Young in man-to-man.
4th down and 3 would have been about a 50-yard field goal with the win from here. Those tall guys all bunched to the right. And they throw to the left, and it's dropped. Good call. They did not execute. Algie Brown open along the near side and dropped the ball. Might have had the end zone in his mind.
Well, they had a man beater on right here. Josh Banderas is misaligned in that, Todd. He can't get out there to cover.
Yeah, and it's really surprising to me that Brown dropped that. All the tape we studied of him from last year, I thought he was the most reliable pass catcher out of the backfield for this team. It's too bad for him, obviously. But you look at the consistency that he had, really a surprise that he wasn't able to bring that in.
Huge play. Might have gone for a touchdown. At the very least, they move the chains, have a first down, keep the ball, and perhaps punch it in or kick a field goal later on. Now Nebraska with 2 timeouts, a minute 38 from its own 32 with Armstrong in the gun. Blitz from his left, picked up, throws into traffic, and it's incomplete. Intended for Jordan Westerkamp. Jeremiah Leota Duyere had the coverage, senior outside linebacker.
Almost looked like Armstrong predetermined in his mind he was going to go to Westerkamp. His eyes never left Westerkamp, and there are other receivers open down to his right. He's got to be able to scan that field to use all his options.
Started out on fire. He's won for his last 11. Here comes a blitz. Longy got enough of Armstrong to trip him up. Harvey Longy started out at the University of Utah, went on his mission. When he came back, he transferred to BYU. He was a running back and is still learning how to play linebacker. Coaches say his great ability, doesn't always know exactly what he should be doing.
Yeah, but he'll do it full speed. And a great compliment to Harvey was that every drill they do, whatever drill or group he's in, that's the best one.
Bronco Mendenhall said it's my job to get him more assignment sound. He did his job well there, it would seem. Armstrong on 3rd down and long, pulls it down running, has room and has the marker. First down. They're going to spot him out at the 44. Just across the 44.
This is what I love, Sean. First read not there, second read not there, tuck and run. That's got to be part of their offense because it can be such a weapon. And when you have that 1-2 tuck and run, if it's not there, you put so much pressure on a defense to account for quarterback run.
14-yard gain. Under a minute to go in the half. So Mike Riley needs to pay attention to the clock. And Westerkamp was open. The ball short as Armstrong was throwing under duress. Falling back, the throw didn't get there. Coming up at the half, stay tuned for John Saunders, Mark May, Mac Brown, and the Cooper Tires halftime report. All the scores and highlights from around this big opening weekend of college football. Second and 10. You'd have to move a long way to get into field goal range into this gusty wind. Brown's long last year was 44 yards. Armstrong spinning around, getting away from Fred Warner, throws it up for grabs and incomplete in the direction of Brandon Riley and defended by Jordan Prater.
Mike Cavanaugh, the offensive line coach, has got to get on the chalkboard at halftime because BYU is bringing an array of blitzes that it's confusing the offensive line, and that's the benefit of a 3-4 defense. You don't know where guys are coming from, and Bronco Mendenhall is very creative in designing those blitzes.
And it's a very inexperienced offensive line for Nebraska. Alex Lewis, the starting left tackle, 13 career starts. Along the other 4 players on the line, only 2 career starts combined. 1 for Dylan Utter, the left guard, 1 for Ryan Reeves, the center. Armstrong, a bit of a wobbly throw. It got there. First down into the Cougar territory. 39-yard line, Jamal Turner. Now a graduate student back from an injury-plagued campaign last year.
The ball will be in the air right there before Turner turns his head. Tommy Armstrong last year, that throw's never made. Tommy Armstrong this year, it's all based on timing. That's the offensive philosophy.
16-yard completion. Michael Davis, who was out of the game for a while, a starting corner, has returned for BYU. On the field now, Terrell Newby is the running back. Four-man rush. Newby stayed in the block, helped for a moment. He got Longy down on the ground. Longy blocked again by Newby. Armstrong shoved out at the 35-yard line by Austin Heater, a backup middle linebacker.
Used up 11 seconds, taking it down to 18. But again, not forcing the ball, especially as you're approaching scoring territory. Good growth and maturity in decision-making of Armstrong.
Drew Brown, the field goal kicker, was just 2 out of 6 from 40-plus last year and 0 for 1 beyond 50. And this is into a gusty breeze. They need considerably more yardage, you would think. Probably at least the 25-yard line to make it comfortable for him. They're on the 35 now. Armstrong again throws. Westerkamp quickly out of bounds. In field goal range now, inside the 23.
I mean, there's an example of the arm strength throwing into the wind, and he throws off of his back foot. I mean, I know that's something that they're working on, but you have that type of arm strength, you can sometimes get away without throwing off your feet.
Well, after all, he is Armstrong.
Thank you very much. I was waiting for that.
And I wish you had waited a little longer.
No, I love it. I'm pleased.
1st and 10, 13 seconds. They do have 2 timeouts. Armstrong zips one toward the end zone, and behind his intended target, Lane Hubby. Leuda Duyere had the coverage.
Here's what I love about this is a linebacker, Leuda Duyere, not looking back for the football, just playing the hands and keeping his hands off the receiver. Discipline, discipline, discipline. Well done.
Although he probably shouldn't throw his hands up in the air as if to say, I didn't do anything, because you only invite suspicion that you really did do something.
Yes.
7 seconds, so they need to do something quickly if it's in the field of play. They need to use that timeout quickly unless they get beyond the marker. They're going for the end zone. Up for grabs, and it's batted away from Hubby by Michael Davis, and just 1 second left on the clock, so time for a Nebraska field goal try.
That ball was a little bit late because Davis was beat by Hubby. Ball being late allowed Davis to recover.
There's Drew Brown. In this day and age, 67% isn't great. It's okay. They want him to do better this year. He's the brother of Chris Brown, former standout kicker here at Nebraska, who went on to a long career in the NFL. 40-yard attempt. Ooh, my goodness. Looked like a Todd McShay tee shot. Snap, hook, wide left. At the half, the Cougars fired up, leading 24-14. Stay tuned for John, Mark, and Mac on the Cooper Tires halftime report after these messages. Today to give him 33 for his career. He moved past 2 terrific quarterbacks, Vince Ferragamo and Jerry Tagge, on the all-time touchdown pass list here in Nebraska, now 7th all-time. After trailing 14-7, BYU scored on 4 straight possessions, and it might have been a 5th. There was a big drop pass on a 4th down play by Algie Brown that ended a drive. Austin Brasher kicks off. Shadows starting to become an issue. If you're just joining us, it is a hot and breezy day. Today's AT&T Strong Performance. Here's Todd.
As Sean, Taysom Hill, BYU quarterback, senior quarterback, 6'2", 234 pounds, has been the story. You see all day long, making good decisions, checking off bad throws, deciding to take off running. We've known about the speed. He's healthy now. the toughness we've also known about. You mentioned the sprained foot, goes to the locker room, comes back out, and then making good decisions throwing the football. Has completed 68% of his throws and accounted for 3 touchdowns so far. BYU up by 10, in large part because of the play of Taysom Hill.
Well, Todd, he wanted to prove that he was an accurate passer, and he's shown that today because that was a question mark coming into his senior year.
Tommy Armstrong handled a high snap. Gave it off to Terrell Newby, who started at running back. Short gain. Manoa Pikula, Bronson Kafusi made the tackle for Brigham Young University. Gain of 3.
You see, they went with a little bit of their zone read offense. That's what they're going to have to do, I think, because you only had 37 yards, now 40 coming into the second half, and number 4 has to get involved with his legs.
Trying to establish the run, and it is Armstrong on the run. There is a flag down. It looked like an illegal block there on the corner helped spring Armstrong across the line of scrimmage. Saw Lane Hovey lift his arms as if he knew he was guilty of a penalty, and there is an injured Nebraska player. I believe it's Trey Foster, the tight end.
There are 2 fouls on the play. Legal block in the back. Offense number 13. That penalty's declined. Holding. Offense number 71. That penalty's accepted. 10 yards. Replay second down. Timeout for injured player.
Well, Travis Tuiloma, the nose guard, the key to that front 3, limped off the field after that play, rocking back and forth in pain and grabbing his right knee on the BYU bench. And they're really thin at tight end on the Nebraska sideline as Foster limps off. He suffered an ankle injury in practice 2 weeks ago. Mike Riley told us yesterday they thought he would be gone for the year, and he recovered in time to play 2 weeks later in the opener. It looks like he might have re-injured that ankle. David Sutton was carted off the field earlier. Another of their tight ends, and Seath and Carter, their best pass-catching tight end, suspended for this game. So not many tight ends left. The Big Red.
Down to Sam Cotton, who's known as a blocker, so that might force Nebraska to do is go with a little bit more 2-back and use Andy Janovich as an H-back type of guy to get any type of tight end or double tight end look.
Sam Cotton is the tight end to the left on 2nd and 17. It is now a very quiet Memorial Stadium. In the flat, Westerkamp open, wrestled down immediately by Manoa Pikula, their leading returning tackler from last year. They lost their top 3 tacklers from a season ago.
Now, one thing you can say about Pikula is he can run, because he closed that gap in a hurry on Jordan Westerkamp, and Tommy Armstrong put it right on target. Westerkamp never broke stride, but he closed that gate in a hurry.
3rd down and 10. Five-man rush. Armstrong hit as he throws, incomplete, intended for Westerkamp. Covered by Harvey Longy. Armstrong got planted and is very slow to get up. He renewed his acquaintance with Bronson Kafusi.
Kafusi said he's worked all year on his pass rush, and number 90 lining up inside gives a nice little shake and bake on Condolo, number 70. And frankly, Condolo doesn't even get a hand on him, but you have that kind of speed and size to close like that, you can do damage.
Kafusi's been impressive today.
Played linebacker last year, Sean.
Led their team in tackles for loss from that linebacker position.
Charge timeout, BYU. They're first. This will be a 30-second timeout.
Best app out there. I love it. I'm on it all the time.
Watch the game down there. Come on, fans. Pay attention.
She was looking for the app.
She was trying to download it. Sam Foltz to punt into the wind. Should be excellent field position for BYU. Referee indicated the ball might have been tipped. There's no flag for hitting the kicker. And the punt is down. Foltz is still down. Adam Taylor down the punt. at the 41-yard line. 34-yard punt. I believe the referee, Michael Cannon, gave the gesture that the ball was deflected. Perhaps we'll see it here.
Yeah, one danger of having a rugby-style kicker.
Apparently it's blocked into him.
Yeah, if you
That's
run,
the gesture.
You're running toward the line of scrimmage, so your chances of getting contact, certainly nothing malicious. And Foster just pushed him down into the kicker, who's in a vulnerable position, landing on one leg.
Grant Jones was the BYU player who made contact. That would be a big loss. Fultz starting his 27th career game. That's more career starts than any Nebraska player on the team, and you saw the trainer giving the gesture that they're going to need the cart. So,
Tyson Brockmeyer is the backup punter, and was described to us as the emergency backup punter.
Unfortunately, that emergency has arisen for Nebraska. They've already had David Sutton, a tight end, carted off the field. There's Brockmeyer. A senior, but no experience in this role in a game. And Fultz can't even put his left leg on the ground.
He's certainly in a vulnerable position when you come down on one foot and the pressure's coming at you.
He had a great preseason. There were several articles that we read, media members talking about he was booming punts throughout fall camp.
It's a horrible feeling. You know, it really is. And you feel for the kid anytime in that situation. Just awful.
You could see the emotion as he looked to be trying to fight back the tears as they carted him off. Josh Banders trying to get the crowd fired up. It's gone very quiet here. Nebraska twice led by a touchdown, but BYU 17 unanswered points. And here comes the crowd trying to make life difficult for Taysom Hill, who operates from his own 41. Throws short. Caught by Devon Blackman, swung down by Josh Kalou.
One thing that's really stood out is Taysom Hill spreading the ball around, probably more so than we've ever seen before. You know, even talking to defensive coaches preparing for this game, there's a tendency for Hill to lock on to Mitch Matthews, number 10. But today, 5 different receivers with 2 or more catches, really doing a nice job distributing the ball.
Well, they're playing so much zone, Todd, that he knows the weakness of the zone and attacks it immediately, no matter who's the beneficiary of his ball.
Under a bit of pressure, throws. His pal Mitch Matthews open, and a nice catch along the near sideline to the Nebraska 43, a 12-yard gain and a first down.
Well, I know he's done some work in the offseason, but again, this ball is perfect. Understanding the game and always puts the ball where his 6'6" guys can go get it. Never in danger of a deflection by a shorter DB.
BYU trying to take firm control of the game here in the opening minutes of the third quarter. And an interception by Nate Gary. Huge mistake by Hill. And now he's trying to take down Gary. And does with help from Algie Brown. Nebraska needed a huge play, and they got one from the Black Shirts defense.
First huge mistake. He thinks Gary's coming under pressure. Gary did a good job of selling it. Now he's going to drop back.
Flag down at the end of the play, Chris, right near where the tackle was made. Gary returned it 43 yards.
Here's what I'm talking about. Watch Gary. He's going to sneak up right here, and Taysom Hill is going to think he's coming. Instead, Gary does a little bluff and goes back and shows his outstanding athletic ability.
After the play was over, unsportsmanlike conduct. Return team number 24. 15-yard penalty. We first down Nebraska.
He clearly just didn't see Gary dropping into coverage. That's exactly right. He showed that he was coming, then dropped. or else he wouldn't have thrown that ball on the line that he did. I'm standing right behind him in the end zone. I could see where he was looking. He had the receiver down the field, but it was a throw he could not have made without that kind of zip. Had he seen the defender dropping into coverage, he would have just pulled it back down and probably take off running.
I'm telling you, a heck of an effort by Taysom Hill by saving a touchdown, and you see Williams push number 19 Blackman in the back, which caused the personal foul.
And 15 yards of field position instead of the 20. They're at the 35. It's a big flag. 10 Nebraska penalties. Imani Cross rumbles down to the 20, got the penalty yardage back. He's the biggest, most powerful of their core of running backs. Took him a while to get up to speed. Once he did, it was a 14-yard gain.
Star dropped about 10 pounds and hopes to be more of a contributor other than short yardage. And just a quick note, Alex Lewis, the left tackle, number 71, was slow getting up, but he's a tough guy. He's a captain. He will lead by example.
Ross goes out. As you can see, he has experience. 75 carries last year as a backup to Amir Abdullah. Newby. It's a reverse to Brandon Riley. Armstrong blocks again. Riley made a man miss. It looked like it was a disaster. Instead, it's a first down for Nebraska. Needed a lot of help, and he did some nifty running to pick up 11 yards before Logan Taylor got him on the ground.
Dylan Udler is going to do a good job getting out on the safety. Matt Hadley pushed him in the back, or excuse me, that's number 4 for them, Fred Warner. Getting good positive yards.
And how about that block, Chris, from Armstrong? Doing a great job springing him.
He's been their best blocker today.
He's a great lead blocker.
First and goal, the ball just on the 10-yard line. Jamal Turner went in motion. Newby right up the middle. Touchdown, Nebraska.
Well, there's something to be said about being fired up and staining and sustaining blocks. They're going to open up. They're going to bring him around to hold the backside and watch the hole open up in a burst by Newby. But this is effort and toughness and a good kick-out block by Condolo to spring Newby for 6. But the offensive line is playing with more passion, more fire, more desire.
They ran up the middle. The starting linebacker, Manoa Pikula, had come out after the previous play. Extra point good by Drew Brown. The turnover, perhaps a game changer. The atmosphere changed for sure. Now the crowd back into it after a 10-yard run by Terrell Newby, capping the scoring drive at 37 yards rushing in the first half. 35 on the 3 plays of that drive. Touchback. And it was set up by the interception thrown by Taysom Hill.
You know, Sean, here it is a zone read option. He sees the receiver. It's so tempting. He's got to get a little bit more trajectory, a little better arc on that throw. I believed standing behind him that he did not see Nate Gary, the safety, dropping into coverage, and that's why he threw it with that kind of line. At the end of the day, listen, we started the game talking about how great Taysom Hill is. We talked about at halftime how great he's been in the first half, but that was a huge mistake, and it shifted the entire momentum of this game.
Well, great players forget about that, Todd, and they come back and make plays for their team. Let's see what he does.
His coaches and teammates talk about his competitiveness. Slow developing running play, a little delay for Nate Carter, and he got buried by Kevin Williams.
One of the things Nebraska has along that defensive line, along with 2 fine defensive tackles, Vincent Valentine and Malik Collins, for the first time in a while, they have depth and they're not afraid to use it.
Collins gets the headlines. The coaches seem to suggest that Vincent Valentine might be even better.
He looked better to me on film. That's not taking any away from Malik, but I think certainly Valentine's underrated.
He's not out there right now. Hill trying to run away. He does. Takes off running. Gary trying to wrestle him down and does in Nebraska territory at the 43-yard line. 35-yard run for Taysom Hill.
Well, as a former defender, this is killer. You play defense, you play hard, you're doing everything you have to do, but you don't maintain the integrity of your rush lanes. So he takes throwing lanes, turn them into running lanes, and he's so explosive and so dangerous, even with a sprained foot, he will make you pay every time.
Coach Mendenhall told us he's the fastest player on their team. Under pressure. Lofts it down the field too high for Colby Pearson, who looked like he was just about to circle open. Malik Collins, that outstanding defensive tackle, had the pressure.
Well, Sean, this time they're maintaining their pass rush lane. See, there's no open areas to run because everybody's doing their job, not creating two guys in one gap, which creates holes.
Loved when we talked to Collins last night. What are your goals for the season? First thing he said, I want to be an academic All-American. He has a 3.1 GPA. You need at least a 3.3. He's working hard to get it up. Incomplete pass. Mitch Matthews open along the near sideline, and the throw bounced in there.
Now, they had Nebraska thoroughly confused because nobody covered out on Mitch Matthews. Kalua, number 10, was covering the wrong guy. Excuse me. Josh.
You're not the only one who has Kalua on their mind
yes,
from time
exactly.
to time.
Joshua Kalu, I'm sorry, Josh, but you got to get on your man and not jump inside. You got to cover the furthermost threat.
3rd down and 10. Not in field goal range. 5-man rush. Hill throws quickly, and Pearson lost the ball. There's a flag down on the play. They're going to mark Pearson down before he lost the ball. Aaron Williams made the tackle just shy of the marker. There is a flag at the line of scrimmage on the far side of the field. A decision for Mike Riley, because if he turns it down, it's 4th down and about 1.5 yards. And he wants an explanation.
Take it. Yeah, I think you take the penalty.
You think BYU would have gone for it? Probably would, right?
Illegal formation, offense, more than 4 in the backfield. 5-yard penalty, replay 3rd down.
Yeah, I assume they would, Sean, because of the matchups they have out there.
Would have been 4th and about 1.5 yards on the 34. So instead, the penalty puts the ball back at the 48-yard line. They need the 33, 3rd down, 15. It does give the ultra-dangerous Hill another chance. On 3rd down, he finds Nick Kurtz, who's down short. The decision for Mike Riley pays off. Instead of 4th and 1.5 yards, this is 4th down and 4. Aaron Williams made the tackle.
I think this is automatically for Bronco Mendenhall to go for it because of the matchups you have. And they have had trouble covering the short intermediate routes with those big wide receivers all day long.
BYU trying to take momentum back and quiet this crowd. Leading by 3.
Algie Brown out of the backfield.
Hill in trouble and stopped well short of the 1st down. Jack Ganglish.
Covered sack. And Ganglish, the one thing you're going to get, number 95, you'll see him coming in, is great effort. He's going to spin back and be able to close and finish with everybody was covered downfield for the first time by the Cornhusker defense.
Well, you saw the presence. We were talking about big number 98, Vincent Valentine. Mark Banker talking about he just moves the offensive lineman back, and he did it on that play to help create the chaos.
38-yard line.
9 minutes to go, 3rd quarter. Jamal Turner takes the quick hitter. Here's Cassidy. Mm, 31 losses in a row.
Temple's always tough. They're always can run the football and play good, solid defense. Old school football.
2nd and 5. Terrell Newby. 1st down to the BYU 43-yard line. Michael Davis made the stop for the Cougars.
Hey, they pick up the blitz right here. And here's what I like. Newby with a nice little patience. You see him set number 22, Piccola, inside, forcing him to jump inside, and he cuts offside and plays the block.
No coincidence, Chris, that the running game has started up for Nebraska since Travis Tuiloma went out of the defensive front, the nose guard for BYU. Great run stuffer. He's come back onto the field after going to the locker room with the ice bag around his knee. Certainly doesn't look like he's coming back.
It's the most important position in the 3-4.
Screen. Mikhail Wilbon with blockers and speed and a first down to the 29-yard line, upended by Manoa Pikula. There is a flag down on the play right near where the tackle was made, a little bit shy of it. Down at the 35-yard line is the flag.
And Pikula can run. I know that. We'll see what the flag is. But when he chases down backs from the backside, not many linebackers can do what he just did.
There is no foul on the play. The block in question was a legal block. First down.
Watch number 66. I believe it's Dylan Utter. He's the one that's going to get out and see what happens. See him come right here to your screen. There he is. And he's allowed to chop block out there on the field and did a good job. And Hanneman, number 7, kind of ducks out of the way. Is a good cut block and turns his back.
14-yard gain. Utter, another one of those former walk-ons at Nebraska, who's become a starter. Junior from Papillion, between here and Omaha. Look out. Wilbon in trouble. Pardon the interruption, says Fred Warner as he drops him back at the 36-yard line.
Well, that's a bad, pardon this interruption, but that's a bad read by Tommy Armstrong on the zone read. For Warner just running right to the football. Tommy Armstrong, if he would have kept that, tucked it and went, he had the middle of the line open.
Loss of 7. 2nd and 17. Midway through the third quarter. Terrific opening game between these two traditionally outstanding programs. Stanley Morgan, true freshman, with his first catch. Out of bounds at the 22. They weren't sure he would play when camp started, but with the injury to Pearson L and with Morgan displaying his talents, they weren't going to redshirt him, and that's a gain of 14.
And that's a good sign on a hot day like this, Sean. You need wide receivers at depth because they probably, I believe it was tracked at one time, run close to 5 or 6 miles during the game with all the jogging and sprinting they do.
Morgan's from New Orleans. He's Stanley Morgan Jr., but he's not related to the terrific receiver who played in the NFL, Stanley Morgan. Patriots when I was a kid. Tommy Armstrong up and over. Some nifty ball faking, and then the athleticism to the 10-yard line, and another Nebraska first down, a 12-yard pickup.
Boy, we were saying that when a quarterback runs, it opens up so many more options. Bad read on the lost option. This time it was a great read by Tommy Armstrong to keep and not pitch.
And again, the absence of Travis Tuiloma. His injury and the interception thrown by Hill, picked off by Nate Gary, have really changed the complexion of this game. 1st and 10, they could get another first down inside the 1. Amani Cross tried to power his way inside the 10. That's about all he got to the 9. Jordan Prater knocked him back.
This is the first time, guys, all day long I've looked at the BYU defense and started to see they're tiring out. They're starting to substitute guys in and out. And I think credit has to go to, obviously they're possessing the ball more, but this offensive line for Nebraska seems like a different unit in the second half. They are aggressive, they're attacking, they've been really effective.
And they're frustrated, Todd, because nothing's more frustrating for a defense when you're getting the ball hammered down your throat.
Armstrong has a man wide open. Trey Foster. Touchdown Nebraska, and the Cornhuskers take the lead.
Everything is set up off of a fake screen. It's a little fake screen, tight end delay, wide open because you're getting a defense pursuant to the screen. Take a look. Trey Foster shows good patience. There's a fake screen right out there to newbie. Everybody runs. Clear path for Trey Foster. Easy throw, easy catch for 6 points.
The extra point up and good for Drew Brown. New holder. Foltz, the punter's usually the holder, so Brockmeyer, his stand-in, had to hold. Well, the tight ends are excited about the new coaching staff. They expect to catch many more balls this year. The Nebraska defense has helped turn this game around. An interception and a 4th down stop, setting up 2 touchdowns. And the Cornhuskers have recaptured the lead by 4. Here in the 3rd quarter, Drew Brown's kickoff down to Eric Takanaka. And he got dumped at the 19-yard line rather rudely by Bose Joseph. Here comes Taysom Hill. Three for 6 in this half with that critical interception. They led by 10 at the half. They had the ball. Crowd was out of the game. He threw the pick. It led to a score. The 4th down stop by the Nebraska defense set up another. They're showing blitz off the corner. Kalu comes and upends the runner, Nate Carter.
That's on Taysom Hill. He's got to check out of it. They don't have enough people to block the corner blitz, and you're running right into the corner blitz. He's got to look, and they have to have a check to that. See, you don't have enough people, and Kalu's coming free and unabated to the tailback for TFL, tackle for loss.
And as you would say, the fullback Ho Ching also threw a no-hitter there as the lead blocker. Quick pass. Micah Simon. Third down and 6 now.
See if Nebraska brings pressure or just bring 4.
Hill steps into the throw and threw a fastball, and Mitchell Juergens couldn't catch it. Dedrick Young had the coverage.
Sean, that's a great job by a freshman linebacker covering out on speedy skill player positions. Number 5 right there in your screen, walking on Juergens, and is able to close. But a lot of it was set up again by the pressure inside from Nebraska. 2 defensive tackles forcing Taysom Hill to throw the ball a little high and a little quick because they're pushing that interior offensive line back.
Johnny Linehan. Wow, with the wind, another bomb as the rugby punter all the way into the end zone. Over the head of Stanley Morgan Jr. 77-yard punt. Monday night on ESPN College Football Prime Time. The Ohio State Buckeyes beginning their title defense, trying to avenge their only loss of last season. Rematch with the Virginia Tech Hokies in Blacksburg Monday night at 8 on ESPN, also live on Watch ESPN. Chris Spielman, Buckeye legend, College Football Hall of Famer, still lives in Columbus. You say you have no inside information, but you think it should and perhaps will be J.T. Barrett at quarterback for the Buckeyes.
I think Urban loves leaders. I think Urban loves running back with running back skill, or quarterbacks with running back skills. And the team spoke the loudest, Sean, as they voted him captain.
Terrell Newby weaving his way through traffic. If it stands, it's a first down, but there is a flag down in the defensive backfield. Now the official who threw it picked it up and moved it closer to the line of scrimmage. And it looks like it's coming back.
These penalties have to be cleaned up by Nebraska as they progress.
Illegal block in the back. Offense number 10. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. Replay first down.
Especially penalties like that, because that's a mental breakdown, not a physical breakdown. Mentally, you got to know to not push the guy in the back.
Penalty back to the 18-yard line, so it's 1st and 12. Down the seam, wide open, Westerkamp. And a rocket thrown by Tommy Armstrong. Jordan Westerkamp has the first down out at the 34-yard line.
Blitz awareness. Tommy Armstrong's going to see the pressure, which leaves Westerkamp open in the seam, and Piccolo can't get there in time.
Very similar, Chris, to the touchdown throw they had earlier. They're doing a great job faking the screen and then just hitting that seam with a quick hitter.
Good recognition by Armstrong of where the blitz is. Usually on a zone blitz, the weakness of the defense is the side of the zone blitz.
Turner, the receiver, coming across the formation, gets dropped at the line of scrimmage. By the way, Linehan, 77-yard punt. In his first game ever kicking a football in a game. That is the 6th longest punt in school history.
He's had a couple boomers, and rugby style is paying off.
It's only 4 yards shorter than the longest punt in school history, 81 yards by Scott Orlano, who was the punter last year and was a semifinalist for the Ray Guy Award as the best punter in the country. He had an 81-yarder last year against Middle Tennessee. Armstrong on 2nd and 10. Good catch by Stanley Morgan. He's ridden down immediately. They're going to give him forward progress to the 39-yard line before Micah Hanneman drove him back.
Good break by Hanneman. Not getting fooled by Stanley Morgan. Confident throw by Armstrong. Across the field on the rope.
He has a strong arm. We visited with him yesterday. He's worked hard to really tighten up his body. He's about 217 pounds right now, he told us.
The biggest difference in him, Sean, is his composure. Last year, if things would go bad, he'd get mad. But he's much more composed, and I think that's a direct reflection of Mike Riley.
Good pressure inside, and he throws complete to Riley for a first down. Boy, Armstrong managed to get rid of it. He had Leuta Duyere bearing down on him.
Just over 6 foot tall. Really struggles to see over the line of scrimmage sometimes, but I don't know how. I'm standing in the end zone looking at his eyes. I have no idea how he saw the receiver coming across the field. Anticipatory accuracy, we talk about it all the time. Chris, what a great job throwing the ball under pressure.
He got lucky, to be honest with you. No, he got lucky on that one because Kafuso was right there in the throwing lane, but he's 6'8", 280. Can't break on the ball.
You just can't give an offensive guy a break.
Did great. Wonderful.
Deep handoff to Newby, in trouble from the start. Did well to get back to the line of scrimmage. Say Tautu, a backup linebacker in there. This is where you need depth because it's still 90 degrees. It's the season opener. You see a lot of hands on hips on both sides and people gasping for air.
Especially, how many times both teams have thrown the football and pass rush after pass rush. It takes it out on the defensive line.
2nd and 10. It's been an up and down day for Tommy Armstrong, but he's completed his last 7 passes. A blitz. Longa, they loft a screen dangerously. It was a pop-up. You see Mikhail Wilbon gesturing back at Armstrong. But Armstrong had the posse coming after him.
That time he would have got lucky, Chris.
Okay. Well, you're going to tell me on that last one, Todd, that in the film room, Danny Langsford's going to sit there and say, hey, that's a great throw, Tommy. Or are you going to say, Tommy?
I just said I have no idea how he saw him coming. It was a great completion.
All right. I'll go with you, Todd. You're right. Except on that play.
Langsdorff calls here on 3rd down and 10 in the final half minute of the 3rd quarter. BYU led 24-14 at the half. Nebraska up by 4 now. Armstrong gets it off, and it is intercepted if he's in bounds. Micah Hanneman, a terrific catch. Caught it in the air, got the toes down, looked like a wide receiver, and it's an interception. If it stands, undoubtedly it'll get a review in the booth from Steve Newman.
It's a great eye by you, Sean, and Hanneman right there. Field awareness, both toes are inside. A great play.
Even the Russian judge gave that one a 10. He stuck the landing.
Probably the first really poor decision right there by Armstrong, trying to force the ball to Westerkamp. But I love the athletic ability and the field awareness. See, look at where his eyes. I mean, he's catching the ball, understanding where he is on the field, and his eyes are checking for the landing.
The ruling on the field was the pass was intercepted. The play is under further review.
It looks pretty clear to me. I mean, you can see from that angle, there's green space between his toes and the white sideline.
If you're a BYU fan, it's Taysom time right now. I mean, this is the leader.
Well, that's going to feed her in. Yeah. I guess the question is, did he hold on to the football? Yeah, and he does. He controls it. I have no idea why they stopped that, because it looks pretty obvious every time you see it.
But and going back to that, I mean, you have a guy that's a superb player. He's the leader on the road, hostile environment. You're coming back. Let's see if this team, if Taysom Hill can put this team on his shoulders and at least lead some type of drive.
The ruling on the field is confirmed. It was an interception. First down, BYU.
And they have the wind right now, Sean, with 21 seconds to go. So if you want to throw the ball, give yourself a little bit better chance downfield. Use this wind to your advantage on these first couple plays.
First career interception for Micah Hanneman, sophomore from Alpine, Utah, the hometown of the head coach, Bronco Mendenhall. Hill sacked back at the 21-yard line. Greg McMullen, the defensive end.
Mark Banker's dialing up some blitzes right there. Josh Banderas came off, took up the pulling guard, and allowing McMullen to come in and get the sack untouched.
The Nebraska defense, the story of that third quarter. Gary's interception turned the game around. 28-24. The Huskers trying to win for the 30th year in a row on opening day. It has been a very exciting opening day on this Dick's Sporting Goods kickoff weekend here at Memorial Stadium in Lincoln, Nebraska. 93 degrees at the kickoff. Back and forth they've gone all day, BYU and Nebraska. Nebraska leads. BYU's ball, 2nd and 17 as we begin the fourth quarter. Cougars at their own 21. Taysom Hill, deep ball up for grabs, incomplete. For Mitch Matthews with Joshua Kalu in coverage.
Kalu has shown today. I mean, he's made some nice plays. He got beat on a couple, but we're going to play man-to-man all day. That's going to happen. I like the patience right there and looking back when the receiver looks back. Interesting note, BYU has only run 53 plays. They're totally out of the rhythm of what they want to do. They want to be a hurry-up offense, and they're not even close to having a hurry-up offense today.
On 3rd and 17, Hill sidestep Malik Collins and takes off running and slides down way short of the first down. He knew he wasn't going to make it, so wise to avoid the hit. Pursued by Josh Banderas, and this BYU offense sputtering in the second half.
Pressure again from Malik Collins, forcing Taysom to tuck and run. And a great decision by Taysom Hill. In the past, he might have tried to run somebody over to get first downs. Protect yourself because you owe that to your team.
Johnny Linehan, in his first college football game, has had 2 very long punts, a 64-yarder in the first half and a 77-yarder in the third quarter. Stanley Morgan. Good coverage by the Cougars. Adam Heaney, Michael Shelton down to make the stop. 45-yard punt. Dick's Associated Press college football rankings brought to you by Goodyear. Ohio State will begin its defense of the national title in Blacksburg on Monday night at 8. Auburn once led Louisville today 24-0. The Cardinals rallying late within 2 touchdowns. Here Nebraska has come from 10 down to take a 4-point lead. This possession starts from the 31. 4-yard run by Amani Cross. Here's Cassidy. Yeah, it's been an up and down start to the year for the Big Ten. Prater on the bench. Now he started in the place of Kai Nakua, who was suspended for the game, so they're going deep down the depth chart at safety. Brandon Riley trying to struggle for a first down, and Michael Davis did well to get him out of bounds a yard short of the marker, so a big 3rd down and 1 for Nebraska. Tui Loma has not returned, and that was a game changer as well. The Nebraska running game really picked up in the third quarter when he went out.
The nose guard is the most important position on a 3-4 defense, and especially felt when you have a great player.
Armstrong won't get there on a quarterback sneak. 3rd down and 1. He got hit immediately. Remington Peck the primary stopper for the BYU defense, and that is a huge play. Mike Riley pondering what to do. I would think here, Chris, with the wind and the way your defense has played in the second half, punt it away.
Yeah, but you have a punter that's new, that's never punted in a game before, so I don't know what
that might be a factor as well. Their starting punter, Fultz, has gone out of the game, so that is a lot of milling around on the sideline, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's a timeout at the end of this with the play clock going to 5. He's going to think it over, chat it over with his staff, and we'll come back to tell you what he decides after this.
Tire dealer today.
Well, a lot more has gone into this decision from Mike Riley than ordinarily would be the case. That's his starting punter, Sam Fultz, who's on the sideline on crutches with a boot on his left foot after he got hit earlier while punting. Tyson Brockmeyer is a backup quarterback, has never appeared in the game. He's a senior. He comes in as the emergency punter and did a good job. Micah Hanneman brought it back 6 yards. Tariq Allen with the outstanding coverage for the Cornhuskers. A 49-yard punt by Brockmeyer with the wind at his back. Here's a look at the Pacific Life game summary. Cougars had the lead 24-14 at the half. They had momentum. They scored the last 17 points of the half. Huskers were flat. The interception by Nate Gary turned the game around. Trey Foster, the go-ahead score, his first career touchdown. Just his 3rd career catch. And now Taysom Hill, who went out of the game injured in the first half, is out again. And in for the second time in the game is Tanner Mangum, who went 1 for 1 for 9 yards in his brief appearance, the true freshman from Eagle, Idaho, in his first college game. Devastating injuries today for BYU on both sides of the ball. Conservative call yields big results. Adam Heeney bounced out of bounds after a big run across the 31-yard line.
All defenses have what they call a contained player. That is, nobody ever gets cut outside, and that's on Joshua Kalu. He sees that crackback block on Gary. He's got to replace, now become the contained player. He went inside, and they're out the gate.
Aaron Williams made the tackle. 20-yard run for Adam Heeney, the senior, 24 years old, did a 2-year church mission to Panama. In the flat, Devon Blackman couldn't escape. Dedrick Young, the freshman, made the tackle after a pickup of 2. Mangum just returned from the mission himself. And the coaches, when we asked Robert and I, the offensive coordinator, last night about Mangum, his quote was, "He has a really good arm." Wow. Great arm talent.
And real knowledge of the offense, not like any other ordinary true freshman.
He throws short, good hands catch by Mitchell Juergens, and a big tackle by Kalu. Short of the first down marker by about a half a yard, and a huge 3rd down play here with under 11 minutes to go.
Well, he knows right where to go with the football. And he's on target. Every throw he's made, Sean, has been strikes.
They definitely lose something in the quarterback run game. Really, you have to think about the entire season now for BYU with an eye toward what's wrong with Taysom Hill. They don't get there. Malik Collins showed why he's an All-American candidate, and Josh Banderas continues his big day. Algie Brown stopped for a loss on the play of about a half a yard.
You have a lead blocker for a reason. You follow him. You don't cut back to unblock guys. Take a look. Watch the cutback right here. Follow your lead blocker. You have to.
They're going for it on 4th and 1, and it's a long one, about a yard and a half. Mangum out of the gun with 2 running backs. They're 0 for 2 on 4th down. Timeout. Brigham Young University, 1 timeout left for the Cougars.
Charge timeout, BYU. Their second. This will be a 30-second timeout.
Dick's Sporting Goods kickoff week continues tonight on ABC. 20th ranked Wisconsin. Paul Christ's debut as head coach of the Badgers. Taking on number 3 Alabama. That's at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. Presented by Wells Fargo. Alabama 3-0 under Nick Saban in season openers between ranked teams, as is the case tonight in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex at Jerry World, the home of the Dallas Cowboys.
You know, Nick Saban has a lot of time to prepare for a team. He usually has them playing pretty well. Right here, Sean, I throw the ball and I attack Luke Gifford, number 12, who struggled a little bit in coverage today. If he's not on the field, which he was in a half, there he is right here. If you can create a matchup on him, that's your best bet to get the first down.
Right now he's just playing in space and showing blitz. Pressure on the freshman quarterback. Mangum, wow. Throws it up and it's caught by Nick Kurtz. It looked like a certain disaster for the Cougars. Mangum scrambling for his life. And again, the benefit of that huge target. Kurtz is 6'5", and BYU is on the move.
Just awareness and trust. He knows coming into this, the scouting report is that they have that huge height advantage. So the best option is my guys are going to win a jump ball 80% of the time.
And why not on 4th down? You're going to turn it over anyway. You might as well take the chance. Mangum is 4 for 4 in his 2 stints off the bench. 38-yard gain. They've been waiting for Kurtz for a while. Highly touted out of junior college and then appeared very briefly last year for redshirting with a foot injury. Mangum has some room to his right, runs out of bounds and takes a hit. Obviously they don't want to go deeper down the quarterback depth chart. Fellow true freshman Dedrick Young in pursuit. Now we know why Coach and I spoke so highly of Mangum last night. Showing his talent and his poise.
His awareness of receivers and where to go with the football. Impressive.
Hine to the 16-yard line. Flag on the play along the far sideline for a procedure penalty against BYU.
Illegal formation, more than 4 in the backfield. 5-yard penalty, replay 2nd down.
Been a frustrating day for Coach Mendenhall. Some huge mistakes. Algie Brown drop pass wide open on a 4th down play that turned the ball over on downs. Hill, the uncharacteristic bad interception that turned the game around the second half. But still poised to take the lead here. Inside the 30. 2nd and 15. Mangum throws it up for another big target, and Matthews caught it out of bounds. With Kalu running with him.
He's not afraid to throw it in tight coverage right there. Matthews had a little bit of a hesitation or a double move, and Kalu stayed disciplined, not looking back at the quarterback, not allowing Matthews to pull away.
Mangum throws, has his man Kurtz again. They'll give him the 17-yard line, 6 shy of the first down. It is 4th down, and with this much time left, Bronco Mendenhall is going to send the field goal unit out to try to get within a point. 8:20 to go. Only 1 timeout left for the Cougars. Trevor Sampson, 1 for 1 today. 35-yard try from the right hash mark into the wind, straight in his face. Good hold and good kick. And it's a 1-point game on opening day in Lincoln. Nebraska leading BYU with 7:57 to go. Kickoff to the 28-yard line. Mike Wadsworth took him down from behind. Let's get an update on Taysom Hill. Here's Todd McShay.
Well, guys, unfortunately, Taysom Hill's done for the day. What I just was told is that he re-injured that sprained foot. They brought back a boot. They brought back crutches. His wife went back there, and he's done for the day. So, obviously, very tough situation for Taysom Hill, who struggled through so many injuries in his career, played so well today, but he will not be back the rest of the day.
The both times he was injured, both of them were non-contact injuries. The last one being on the slide to avoid the contact. It's just tough luck for the great player, Taysom Hill.
Well, let's hope it's just a temporary thing. Got injured in Game 5 last year. He was saying last night, doesn't even think about getting injured again. He's going to play all out every play. But here it is, the first game of the season, and he's hurt again. Terrell Newby, the ball carrier, tripped up by Warner. Here's the day for Hill. And a typical day. Productive both passing and rushing. And he's a huge loss. Bronco Mendenhall said to us last night that he knew it was going to be a big loss on the field because of the way he plays. He said he didn't know what a devastating loss was going to be to the psyche of the team because of how much Hill means as the team leader. Mendenhall says he's the fastest player, smartest player, strongest player, best representative of the team and the community. I mean, he really is the man.
Well,
Lane Hovey the catch a yard short of the first down.
He's better than advertised in my eyes. I mean, I watched him on film. I thought he struggled in certain areas. One of them was accuracy and touch. And today he proved to me that he's certainly improved that in his game. And so is number 4, Tommy Armstrong. You can tell that he's getting good, solid coaching. And he's adapted to this timing pass route offense that is instilled by Mike Riley, where he's been on target and he's throwing. As soon as his back foot hits, Sean, he's throwing to a spot as opposed to a man.
Huge play. Under 7 minutes to go. 3rd down and 1. Bronco Mendenhall calls the defenses. Looks like he's bringing pressure right up the middle. He does, and they blow up the running play. Logan Taylor leading the charge. Nowhere to go for Terrell Newby. Mendenhall has called the defenses off and on during his 11 years as head coach, and he wasn't bragging when he said statistically we've done better when I've called it, and this is why you make the calls yourself.
Well, when you put a tough player in to replace your best defensive lineman, Taylor moves from defensive end into nose and makes a huge play from the nose guard position for his Cougar defense.
So again, here's the backup punter, the senior who's never played in a game. He's the scout team quarterback, Tyson Brockmeyer from Aurora, Nebraska. Has punted once in this quarter and did a good job. This one's a little bit short, but unreturnable along the far sideline at the 33. Fair catch made by Micah Hanneman. Good job in an emergency by Brockmeyer, and an outstanding job in relief of Taysom Hill by Tanner Mangum.
Yeah, I think the poise and the understanding the matchup that he has with the tall receivers against the shorter corners. But look at him, look left and throw right. That's because he has a firm grasp of the offense and knows where second and third option are open on the field, depending on coverage.
A field goal would give the Cougars the lead again. Mangum, stood up and rocked back by Josh Banderas, who's been terrific today.
You know what else has been terrific is the tackling from Nebraska. It's a totally different tackling football team than I witnessed last year. These guys are being taught to wrap their arms. There's no more body tackles going on by this team. They're good, solid, fundamental tackles.
Out of the gun on 2nd and 11. Mangum throws it high in single coverage, and Matthews couldn't run under it. He's had a spirited battle with Joshua Kalu.
Well, he's been impressive because when you put your corners on an island and you ask them to match up and play man-to-man all day, you've got to be physically tough, but more importantly, you got to be mentally tough because you are going to give up some plays. But he bounces right back.
Tanner Mangum, gray-shirted a couple of years ago. Played in the spring game, then went to Chile for 2 years. He just got back in June, working to get back in shape. 3rd down and 12. And a great open field tackle by Kalu to dump Mitchell Juergens, who had room to run if he could have avoided the stop by the sophomore from Houston, Josh Kalu. BYU now 3 out of 13 on 3rd down. And they're going to punt into a stiff wind on 4th and 7. And the defense will have to make stops, Chris, because they have just one timeout left.
Yeah, and they're a tough group. Mark Banker did a great job of calling a 6-man blitz, forcing a throw so you don't have time to run a 12-yard route.
Linehan, Johnny Rugby. Boy, that punt got killed by the wind. Fair catch made by Jordan Westerkamp, 34 yards. Strong performance by Linehan. Let's take a look at today's Good Hands play, brought to you by Allstate. Micah Hanneman, the interception. Up in the air to catch it, both feet down for his first career interception.
See if Nebraska takes their time. If I'm them, I start working the clock and not snap the ball until there's about 5 seconds to go on the play clock once we get this game clock rolling.
Damani Cross takes the handoff, powers straight ahead. Well, you just saw Travis Tuiloma on the bench. They weren't running right up the middle like that in the first half when he was out there. Mike Wadsworth made the stop, a gain of 14.
Yeah, Mike Davis came on a corner blitz and missed. He missed him in the hole. He had a chance for a TFL in the backfield. Mike Wadsworth is in for the injured Prater, and he's doing his best. But they're playing with deleted troops in that secondary for the Cougars.
This is where the suspensions and the lack of depth really start to hurt Nebraska. The veteran Armstrong taking his time. Snapped it with 6. They're just playing the run now. Cross smothered immediately by Wadsworth and Kafusi. Coach Mendenhall will not use the last time out here, and the clock runs under 3.5 minutes to go.
I think it wouldn't be bad time for a screen because Bronco Mendenhall is selling out on run blitzes. And so if you have a good screen off man-to-man coverage or a run blitz, now's the time to throw it because I think you'd get big yards.
Armstrong out of the gun. Cross remains the running back. They're creeping up as if to blitz. And they weren't bluffing. Armstrong wide open. Brandon Riley. And a touchdown saving tackle by Micah Hanneman.
Great play call here. Pump and go down the sideline. Armstrong makes the completion, but Chris, if he leads him just a little bit more, that's 6.
Yeah, and it's all set up, Sean or Todd, because they've had so many screen plays, and they're going right to that screen or that screen look, knowing they're going to get blitz and man-to-man coverage and trusting that Armstrong will make the throw. A little different this year than last year, putting the game in Armstrong's hands in clutch time.
He's a veteran. This is his 22nd career start. Back under center now, 2.5 to go. Cross, the ball carrier, and still no timeout from BYU. Say Tautu made the tackle. Well, they can't allow another first down here, Chris, or it's just about game over.
Just impressed too, Sean, with the offensive line of Nebraska. Some new guys in there, and in the fourth quarter doing what Nebraska lines of the past have done, have taken over the line of scrimmage.
And it's the same 5 guys who have pretty much gone the whole way. Lewis, Utter, Reeves, Condolo, and Gates. Coach Kavanaugh, the line coach, said the 5 guys who earned the starting spots, they're going to play. He told the lineman, if you want to play, be one of our best 5. Wilbon stopped about 3 yards short of the first down. And a critical 3rd down upcoming, and now BYU will use its last timeout. With 1:39 to go. really over. 3rd down and 3, leading by 1. Jamal Turner took the handoff, got smacked and taken down. Mike Wadsworth. Boy, they're deep onto the depth chart, and Wadsworth's been big. They lost Tui Loma, their starting nose guard. Pikula, their leading returning tackler. Jordan Prater, a safety. Talk about being strong up the middle. They were weakened by those injuries up the middle. That's a huge stop. And Coach Riley, with the decision to make, is going to try the field goal to make it a 4-point game. On 4th and 5 with the wind. This time for Brown, he hit a snap hook into the wind earlier. Only 66% last year. And again, backup Holder and Brockmeyer in for Fultz. 41-yard try. That's another hook. And it is no good. So now a field goal would win it for BYU.
As a field goal kicker, you have to make adjustments. If you hook the first one, you have to adjust so you don't hook the second one. And a lot of times that comes from trying to hit the ball too hard.
Shouldn't have had to feel like he had to kill it there from 41 with about a 20-mile-an-hour breeze behind him. So hope still alive on the Cougar sideline. Now they don't need a touchdown. All they need is a field goal, but no timeouts. 48 seconds to go. Tanner Mangum, the freshman, just back a couple of months ago from a 2-year church mission in Chile. They start from the 34. Mangum, deep ball, up for grabs. Kurtz up and over and couldn't hang on. With Daniel Davey waging a spirited battle. Looked like the height of Kurtz was going to rule the day again, but he couldn't corral it.
As a corner, you must finish plays. Exactly what Daniel Davey does right here. Even though he knows his guy has the ball, you're going to rake and fight through the whole play to get it out of there, along with help from Kyron Williams coming over to help him do his job.
Line of scrimmage is the 24-yard line. The career long for Sampson's 45 yards. Last year, that was in the bowl game in Miami Beach. Mangum running out of time. Takes off running, dives ahead near the first down marker, and it looks like he got it. Tremendous effort by Mangum. They got the first down. He's gesturing to clock it, but the clock is stopped. Line up and run a play.
We got an injured player on the field, Greg McMullen, number 90.
Which gives them now plenty of time to just get a play ready and snap it on the ready for play signal from the referee.
Interesting choice, and I like the choice by Mark Banker, playing a percentages, only bringing 3. When you only bring 3, that can be an exhausting on a defensive lineman. And Mangum, again, showing poise, aware of the pass rush, and making a good decision not to force the ball to get as many yards as he can with his feet.
We saw in the replay, Mangum, McMullen, when diving for Mangum, didn't get him, slapped the field turf, and apparently suffered a left leg injury. So 28 seconds, no timeouts for BYU. And the kicker, Sampson, doesn't have the longest leg, and it's into a pretty stiff wind, so they'll have to get a long way down there to give him a chance. Here's Cassidy.
It's got to be Coker, doesn't it? All indications lead that way.
Well, these coaches don't need to make a decision on the quarterback. You're just going to pick it for them.
Yeah. Me or Feinbaum. One of the two.
Yeah, exactly. First down and 10. The clock is running now after the ready for play. Hine up the middle. Wow. They have no timeouts. I mean, if he gets stopped for a short gain, that's just about game over. They do stop the clock after the 16-yard gain to the 49 of Nebraska. Now they will clock it. 15 seconds to go. Sampson's a very accurate kicker. 12 for 14 last year and 2 for 2 today from 41 and 35. But he's not known as a big leg. Bronco said last night he feels comfortable when they get to the 25-yard line. That would be about a 42-yard kick. They're going to have to get to about that spot, you would think, into this win.
And you have to try to probably work the sidelines here, Sean. or you can't work the middle of the field. Clock will stop to move the chains, and you got to clock the ball.
Mangum rolling out, spending a lot of time, and he gets popped across the boundary after a short gain. For the minimal gain there, he probably would have been better throwing it away and saving some seconds. Now perhaps time for only one more play, depending on what they do. Cockrell bounced them out. Well, you have all those tall receivers,
Yep.
Chris. Is it Hail Mary time?
It would be for me. Or you can work a quick little out to the sidelines up top with Mitch Matthews, work on one-on-one.
But that probably doesn't get you in field goal range in this wind, and then you're going to run a Hail Mary on the next play anyway. Timeout, Nebraska.
Charge timeout, Nebraska.
Yep, that's your only choice,
This will
Sean.
be a 30-second timeout.
Well, Mike Riley's a football lifer. His dad, Bud, was a coach. And he's the reason why Mike wanted to get into coaching. And Mike has been all over this country and Canada coaching. And it's a debut he's never going to forget, win or lose. This has been a very exciting game with a lot of twists and turns from start to finish.
Well, I think he should be proud of how the Cornhuskers have played today, both offensively and defensively, and optimistic looking in the future because of the play of Tommy Armstrong. Has been outstanding today. And on the other side, Bronco Mendenhall, what a great job. I mean, they lost the middle of their defense today in a 3-4 defense now. They lost their Mike linebacker, they lost their nose guard, and they lost their safety. The
And their
worst place you
starting
can lose. Yeah, I mean, yeah, oh, by the way, yeah. And the Heisman Trophy candidate, Taysom Hill.
Bronco Mendenhall's quote in summer camp was, "I love, love, love Tanner Mangum. He'll love him even a little more if he could pull one out here in the final seconds." They're 0 for 6 on third down in this half. Mangum does go for the short throw. It's caught out of bounds. 1 second on the clock. So now they do have time to fire it in the end zone. I'm not sure really what that got them. It wasn't going to get them close enough, I don't think, for a field goal in this win.
Yeah, I guess maybe just to get the ball closer to throw the Hail Mary.
You also run the risk the game ends. I mean, they're fortunate there's 1 second on there. 29 straight season openers won by Nebraska, dating back to 1985. And Mike Riley is going to use his last timeout. He doesn't want to be the guy who is the head coach when that streak ends. The last 5 Nebraska coaches have all won their debut, dating back to Bob Devaney's win in 1962. He's really the man who turned the program around. The last to lose his first game was Bill Jennings against Washington State in 1957. Devaney, Osborne, Solich, Callahan, and Pelini all victorious in their first game as head man on the Nebraska sideline. Well, I would think this is a pretty easy call for Coach and I.
Yeah.
Those 3 tall guys run down to the end zone, throw it up there, and hope that somebody catches it.
And as a defender, you want to try to bat the ball down or spike it down, not make a crazy play, tip it up in the air. How many times have we seen those go to the offense at the very end? That's the guy I'd go to, Kurtz.
Barring a penalty, the last play of the game. And a memorable season opener for both teams. 3-man rush. Mangum, all kinds of time. Steps into the throw, in the wind, down to the goal line, and caught! Touchdown, BYU! Mitch Matthews on the last play of the game.
The ruling on the field is a touchdown. The previous play is under further review.
It's under review. Was it a catch, and did he break the play into the end zone? There are the 2 issues. 3 defenders on Mitch Matthews. Well, he's in the end zone, and there's no sign that he doesn't have the catch. I think that's going to stand, Chris, don't you?
Absolutely, it's going to stand, and a great job of Mitch Matthews using his body to block out. I think one thing you want to do if you're Nebraska, next time you defend this, you always want to have somebody in front of the receiver and you kind of sandwich that guy, and it just allowed him to use his big body to box out 2 and catches it at the highest point. I mean, that's what we all called. Everybody knew was coming, including Nebraska.
Luke Gifford and Nate Gary there. Aaron Williams came in too late to help. And we believe this is going to stand and be an unbelievably dramatic win for the BYU Cougars, which will end the longest opening day winning streak in college
After
football.
review, the ruling on the field of a touchdown is confirmed. Game over.
Mitch Matthews. And Tanner Mangum is a Cougar legend after one game in a BYU uniform. The coaches raved about him last night, Chris, and you can see why.
Absolutely. I loved his poise, his composure, knew where to go with the ball, never panicked, threw the ball up and trusted his guys to make plays. Both teams, Sean, great effort, great college football. Both teams should be proud of how they played today.
And so many plays to look back on positively and negatively. It looked like for BYU that drop pass by the running back Algie Brown in the first half really changed momentum of the game. They were poised to take a 17-point lead at the halftime. Devastating defeat for Mike Riley as he goes to congratulate his good friend Brock Mendenhall. Here's Todd with